That's right, Mark. The Boxing Day crowd is packed into Old Trafford. I noticed many of the Newcastle United supporters have come in fancy dress today. We've got Dorothy and the Friendly Lion and the Tin Man right at the front of their section. And Dorothy's looking great in her beard. And Manchester United are just about to get this game underway. I'm guessing that the reason for that levity from the Newcastle supporters, they've decided to do that when they come to Old Trafford because they very rarely get anything here. Newcastle have not won here against Manchester United for over 40 years. So the game gets underway. Manchester United in the pouring Manchester rain against Newcastle in the lime green shirts and black shorts and lime green and black socks. Immediately win a free kick near the halfway line. So this is the start of the Boxing Day Premier League programme for you. 7 matches this afternoon, 2 more later. We've got commentary on both of those games later. But the top 3 are all kicking off at 3 o'clock today. Manchester United, the leaders here against Newcastle. Manchester City are at Sunderland. Chelsea are at Norwich, but will be across all of the games. United with this free kick. Newcastle, that is. Anita plays it into the penalty area. Bounces down. Barr misses his kick completely near the edge of the 6-yard box, and Manchester United can clear. So before I run you through the teams in full, let's get a word from Kevin Gallagher, a former Newcastle player himself, former Premier League striker, 53 caps for Scotland, and what you think might happen this afternoon, Kevin.
Well, I mean, I haven't watched Newcastle the last few weeks, John. I was a little bit sceptical in how they were going to play because Teoti's very, very key for them in holding that midfield area. James Perch has been brought into the midfield area in the last 4 or 5 games. It's not really been stable. It's been very, very interesting to see the way it was going to be set up today. But they are going very, very attacking minded, and that could suit Manchester United here today.
Yeah, very interesting. It's a sort of a 4-4-3 that they've started off with Newcastle. But Manchester United's team, no Rooney, no Young. We are told that they were both injured in training in the build-up to this game. Carrick tries to strike it through to the edge of the box, but it's intercepted on the edge of the penalty area. So that is why there is no Carrick, no Rooney and no Young. That's the official reason. So Giggs and Scholes both in the starting lineup for Manchester United, and Giggs tries to play an early ball through, but it is blocked, and it comes back to Carrick, the Tyneside Newcastle fan, on the halfway line, and United go all the way back to De Gea, the goalkeeper. So the United team: De Gea, Smalling, Ferdinand, Evans and Evra. Vidic is only among the substitutes today. Scholes and Carrick, Valencia, Giggs, Hernandez and Van Persie. And the Newcastle side: Tim Krul, Simpson, Williamson, Colaccini and Santon. Then Anita, Perch and Marvaux, with Bigarimana, Kevin, playing through the middle and behind Demba Ba, with Cisse either up alongside Bar or out on this right-hand side.
Yeah, no, it's Bigarimana to me is a wider player. He's a little tricky guy, but you know, it's just the way that I think that Alan Pardew wants him to play. It's just they want Cisse to start in a position wide, a Bigarimana to play there, but then to float in behind Demba Ba and get in. But you'll find that it'll change, it'll interchange. You might find Demba Ba dropping wide and Cisse going up as the main striker at times. So it's an interchanging 4-3-3 system, John, that at times people question it because they can't see a steady shape, because Alan Pardew doesn't like it to be in straight line football. He likes to intermingle it, mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, and we can see it clearly there now as we look with Anita positioned in front of the back four, and then Perch and Marvaux forward and ahead of him to the right and the left, and then Bigarimana a little further forward and Cisse and Bar right up front. So very positive from Newcastle to come here like that.
Oh, very positive, John. And I think they're looking at the pace to try and catch them on the counter-attack as well. Rather than doing the pace down the sides, they're targeting the 2 central defenders for Manchester United, and the hope the Bigarimana can use his pace to run beyond whichever centre forward they ends up.
It's lost by Carrick after he received a heavy pass. Now Bar through the middle. Bar shoots low. De Gea makes the save, and it's turned into the net by Perch. Goodness me, it is James Perch who is in there to put Newcastle into the lead in the 4th minute of the match. Now this is a big surprise. An error from United in midfield. It was Michael Carrick who lost the ball, and in the end the shot from Bar was saved by De Gea, but he just pushed it back out straight to James Perch, and of all people it is James Perch who puts Newcastle in front at Old Trafford. Manchester United 0, Newcastle 1.
Well, what can I say? What a start for Newcastle, but it's just a lapse of concentration. It's raining, it's wet, the pitch is slidey, but it's the shot from Cisse, or Demba Ba, I should say. Demba Ba strikes it really well, but the goalkeeping, John, you've got to question it. Yes, he gets a strong wrist behind it, but it comes flying straight back out. It doesn't go to the side, it goes at a little bit of an angle. It gives an incoming striker or an incoming midfielder, as it was from James Perch, it gives him an opportunity to take that gamble and get in there. James Perch, you never really see him in that 18-yard box, but his big gamble pays off and he gets the opening goal.
He almost looked, James Perch, as though he didn't know what to do with himself when he put the ball in the Manchester United net. So now we have this, well, it's become something of an old favourite this season, hasn't it? Manchester United are having to come from behind in a game. One or two early goals to tell you about as Evra takes the ball up the left-hand side and Cisse challenges him from behind and came in at pace, and Evra has stayed down, and Mike Dean, the referee, did not give the free kick Manchester United's way. And I have to say, when I saw Cisse go in, I thought he might be in trouble in terms of a yellow card for that, such was the force that he went in. Let me, Kevin, just mention the goals that have been scored. It's Colchester 0, Brentford 1. Kevin.
Well, just Patrice Evra going down the left, and Cisse, when he's coming in at the side, he's going down, and sometimes we class it as a striker's tackle, but Patrice Evra gets his right foot just in front of the ball, just as Cisse's foot makes connection. He's going to connect with his ankle. It's going to be sore, as it was, but it's one of those ones the referee can give a free kick against Cisse, or he can let the game flow, and that's what he done. He kind of just let it flow that little bit.
So the surprise scoreline, if you've just joined us on 5 Live on this Boxing Day afternoon: Manchester United 0, Newcastle 1. James Perch with the 4th minute goal. We will be going to Kempton very shortly, but Newcastle coming forward again. Ball chipped over the top, in between Barr and Cisse, and Evans allows it to bounce through for a goal kick. So we'll be to Kempton for the King George very shortly. And Manchester United with the ball halfway inside their own half. Carrick with that error. The pass to Carrick in the build-up to the game was very, very firmly hit, but he miscontrolled it, and Newcastle were all over Manchester United, and that resulted in the scoring of the opening goal. There's a goal in our featured match in League One. Derm Tanner.
And it's gone to script because Sheffield United only taken 4 minutes to take the lead against Scunthorpe. A really good run from Sean Miller, strong drive, and it evaded Middlehall in the goal. They lead by a goal to 0 to Sheffield United.
Let me tell you as well, there is a goal in the Cardiff Crystal Palace game. Jedinak has given Palace the lead. We'll hear the details on that in a moment, but there's commentary on that match right now over on 5 Live Sports Extra. But this is the big story of the afternoon so far. Newcastle winning 1-0 here. And John Akers now can tell us about that Palace goal at Cardiff.
Yes, came after 4 minutes of the game. A corner from the right-hand side. And there was Jedinak to hit it home, first time to the keeper's right. Palace lead, it's Cardiff 0, Palace 1.
Also Oldham 0, Doncaster Rovers 1 in League One. Newcastle playing from left to right towards the section where their supporters in fancy dress are. And they have it with Santon, who skips away from the challenge that came in on him from Valencia. Now played to Bigaramana inside the box. Bigaramana challenged by Scholes. And Scholes plays it away for Valencia, who immediately off down the right flank. Van Persie available through the middle. Valencia delayed, and then rolls the ball down into the absent left back area. Hernandez onto it. Hernandez cross over the two Manchester United players, Giggs and Van Persie at the near post. And out of play for a throw-in to Newcastle in the right back area. It is straight to Craven Cottage we go, because there's been a goal. John Southall.
And it's gone to Fulham. It's Fulham 1, Southampton 0. Dimitar Berbatov, the scorer, wasn't dealt with by the goalkeeper. Cross from the right-hand side, and a simple tap in for Dimitar Berbatov. Fulham 1, Southampton 0.
Right, let's just nip round the grounds before we get to Kempton. First of all, Sunderland, Manchester City with Peter Slater.
No goals here after 8 minutes, but City very close to taking the lead just seconds ago. David Silva with a left wing corner. Vincent Kompany, powerful header, which came back off the crossbar. Sunderland 0, Manchester Manchester City 0.
Rob Nuffman's watching Norwich and Chelsea.
And it's Norwich 0, Chelsea 0. Poor start to this game. Chelsea with lots of possession, but there hasn't been a shot in anger at either goal. Norwich doing a good job in trying to hustle Chelsea out of their stride. It's Norwich 0, Chelsea 0.
It's MK Dons 1, Walsall 0. Jonathan Ledyard's at Goodison Park.
It's 0-0 Everton Wigan. We've gone downhill after the first 11 seconds. Great move by Everton. Anichebe, Gibson, Jelovic and Anichebe blasting wide. Ever since then, scrappy, scruffy, sodden pitch, 0-0.
Medeski Stadium next, and Simon Mann.
Reading 0, Swansea 0. 2 moments of note so far. Danny Guthrie for Reading wanted a penalty after a challenge by Leon Britton. It would have been soft, but there did seem to be some contact. Referee Mike Jones said no. And then Michu for Swansea just outside the penalty area, left-footed, a fraction wide of Federici's left angle. It's Reading 0, Swansea 0.
And it is still QPR 0, West Brom 0. Right, Manchester United 0, Newcastle 1. James Perch's goal. Back here for commentary after the King George with John Hunt.
And Cornelius Lysett, John, with long run, the 15-8 favourite here. They're just about to get underway for the King George. Q Card at 5-1. Riverside Theatre and the Giant Bolster both 6-1. Giant Bolster very well backed indeed. Grand Cru at 7-1. There are 2 less for them to jump, so a total of 16 because an open ditch was damaged earlier on. And John, for the mid-season jump racing championship, we're off and running.
Yeah, we are indeed. 3 miles ahead of us, and they race away down the left-hand side of the race course in the early stages here. And up front, Champion Court and Junior, 2 of the bigger priced runners here, with Long Run, the favourite, taking off at the first fence in 3rd place. And he hit it quite hard, and Q Card hit it much harder and almost paid the penalty. So a real big early scare for Q Card, the second favourite. He comes to the second. He was chancy again at the second, and so too was the Giant Bolster. So they're all standing, Cornelius, but some early drama here.
Absolutely. We've got 2 less to jump. There's a couple of them at the first 2 who really did cause concern. Grand Cru being held up at the rear of the field. Big day for Grand Cru, isn't it? Because he's got such a big reputation, but has disappointed of late. But Long Run, big day for him as well. And the Henderson team going so well.
Yep, Long Run still in 3rd place as they turn down the back straight for the first time here. Just 3 fences to take here with that omitted open ditch. And up front, Champion Court and Junior. They are absolute sloggers, these 2, and it might just be an afternoon where you need to slog your way home. Long Run's over in 3rd place, just a little bit chancy with his jumping in the early stages. Captain Chris and Riverside Theatre have started the race nicely. At the previous fence, Q Card was better than he had been at the first 2, and over the 4th fence, he's safe and sound as well. The Giant Bolster and Tony McCoy riding him for the first time here this afternoon. He's next, and he's just moved ahead of Corto Stone, and the back marker is Grand Cru as they bypass the ditch, head on now towards the last fence over on the far side, and then there'll be another little breather before they head round into the home straight for the first time.
And so, look at what time it is. Well, just see them over this fence. Look at what time it is, though, this afternoon.
Over that safely enough.
It's so dark here, isn't it? They're just little specks in the horizon now as they turn back towards us.
Bright lights in the background here. It's very dark indeed as Junior leads from in 2nd place, Champion Court, then Long Run 3 lengths away, and then Riverside Theatre against the rail, travelling strongly early on. Q Card and the Giant Bolster are next, and they've improved past Captain Chris, who's now got just a couple behind. Grand Cru being one of them, and the other one is Corto Stone as the jumping now begins once more. Fence number 6 is the first of 3 in the home straight, and over that safely the entire field now head on towards fence number 7. Still well over a circuit to go. This is the King George here, the Boxing Day highlight at Kempton, live on 5 Live Sport with Junior, Champion Court and Long Run, the first 3. Long Run again rather stuttered into that. His stride approaching the fence was not perfect, and he just lost another half a length or so in the air. Q Card, Riverside Theatre travelling well. Then Captain Chris, the Giant Bolster, Grand Cru's into a good rhythm here as they take the next fence, and he jumped that particularly well, Grand Cru. And Corto Stone now the back marker, as under lots of umbrellas, big cheers go up all round Kempton with the circuit to go.
And 10 hours of sport on 5 Live Sport this afternoon and this evening. We're going to take you right the way around all the sports, around the sporting world. Let's check in at Old Trafford. Is it still 1-0 to Newcastle, John Murray?
It is 13 minutes played. Newcastle leading through that 4th minute goal from James Perch. Other scores to tell you about: Portsmouth are 1-0 up on Crawley. It's Motherwell 1, Aberdeen 0, Colchester 0, Brentford 2, and Tranmere 0, Crewe 1. But 1-0 to Newcastle against Manchester United here at Old Trafford.
fence number 9 here in the King George at Kempton. Ahead of them, Junior kicked into it, long run, almost jumped to the front on his outside. Champion Court still well there, and then a little gap back to Q Card, and also with Q Card is the improving Grand Cru. They're the leading 5. Riverside Theatre next. Giant Bolster on the outside, made a mistake.
We're just going to check in now at Sunderland against Man City and Peter Slater.
Still 0-0, City on top. The header from Company, which hit the bar the closest. The rebound fell to Yaya Toure. His shot well saved by Mignolet. Sunderland 0, City 0.
And we'll have more news from Old Trafford and elsewhere after the King George, but we're coming now, John, towards the closing stages.
Yeah, there are 6 more fences left to take. Champion Court still leading here from long run on the outside. Grand Cru has travelled into the race beautifully for Tom Scudamore, and Q Card, despite earlier mistakes, is still right there. These 4 ahead of Junior, who's now weakened. Cordo Stone and Captain Chris. Riverside Theatre and the Giant Bolster are now the back 2, and they've lost their positions alarmingly as they head now towards the middle one down the far side. Long run absolutely clouted it. He had a narrow lead at the time, still has a narrow lead, but that was a really poor jump, and in behind that will give big hope to Grand Cru and Tom Scudamore and Q Card and Joe Tizard. Champion Court still with this group of 4 as well, and then there's a gap back to Captain Chris, who's back in 5th place, about 8 legs off the leaders. Then Riverside Theatre, who's trying to pick up again as they take the last over on the far side. Again, long run disputed the lead, but his jumping wasn't great. Captain Chris is trying to stay on back in 5th place, and as they turn now out of the back straight, Riverside Theatre's in 6th, the Giant Bolster is in 7th, but they're both now under heavy pressure, and they're well strung out heading for home, and it's the grinder outside of Champion Court and Alan Corley who has wrestled the lead back from long run, and Grand Cru's not found much at all in 3rd. Captain Chris is in 4th. Q Card's beaten, he stopped very quickly. Riverside Theatre's beaten, the Giant Bolster's beaten. 3 out in the King George, and long run's back in business. Long run jumped to the front, regaining the lead from Champion Court. Then Captain Chris, who is still staying on. Grand Cru's in 4th with a lot of work to do. The second last fence, long run, he steadied into it, he jumped it okay. Captain Chris is now emerging as the new and perhaps final danger on the far side, because Champion Court can do no more, neither can Grand Cru. Q Card's beaten, a great tussle here at the last between long run and Captain Chris, and Captain Chris jumped just the better of the pair there onto the running. Long run is trying to fight back, he's inching back, but Captain Chris and long run in an epic King George. What a finish! Long run, I think, got up to win again. Long run, and Sam Whaley-Cohen, he waves his whip to the crowd. He thinks he's won from Captain Chris in a fantastic duel, clear of Grand Cru and Q Card and Champion Court. Riverside Theatre and Junior, the Giant Bolster, didn't finish, neither did Corto Stone. I think he's got it back, Cornelius. He lost it to Corto Star last year, but I think Long Run's won the King George.
It is by the narrowest of margins as well. This was all about guts, it was about courage at the end of 3 miles. Kempton is one of our less stamina sapping racecourses. It's flat for 3 miles in the King George and for 16 fences this year. However, because of the weather we've heard so much about, it was heavy ground. Here's the result. And number 8, Long Run, is confirmed as the latest 2-time winner of the King George. It looked as though Captain Chris was going, it actually looked like Champion Court was going to win, then he faded, then it looked like Captain Chris, but in the end, Long Run, who made a couple of serious jumping errors, with Sam Whaley-Cohen, the amateur jockey trained by Nicky Henderson, owned by the jockey's father Robert, has won the race at odds there of 15 to 8 favourites. Back to you, John, at Old Trafford. I hope it's going to be as exciting there.
Excellent, Cornelius, thank you. Thrilling sport for you on Boxing Day, and I must say also I'm looking forward to John, Cornelius and the rest of the BBC Radio Racing team continuing to bring us commentary on all of the big races in 2013, and we'll have more on that thrilling victory for Long Run at half-time in all of the 3 o'clock kickoffs. It is still Manchester United 0, Newcastle 1. That shock goal from James Perch in the 4th minute Perch in possession at the moment, just playing the ball back to Colaccini. They are now underway at Loftus Road. Queen's Park Rangers against West Brom in the 3:15 kick-off, as it became because of the travel difficulties in London. Goals to tell you about around the country that went in during the race. Burton Albion 1-0 up on Rochdale. It is MK Dons 1, Walsall 1, equaliser for Walsall. And in fact, Mark Pugac can tell us at Loftus Road how things have begun in that game.
We've had 8 minutes, John. We actually began at 11 minutes past 3. Don't ask me why. It was pouring with rain. We thought they're not going to stand around, are they, for 5 minutes. They got underway. No goals. Stefan Umbea wide in the first minute. And Tarabt, who, just to confirm, has been left out of Morocco's Africa Cup of Nations squad, which is great news for QPR. He looks bright early on, 0-0.
All of the other games are 0-0 in the Premier League, with the exception of Fulham leading Southampton by a goal to 0. But this is the big story of the afternoon so far in the Premier League. Newcastle 1-0 up. James Perch scoring for Newcastle for the first time in a competitive match. And what a place to choose to do it. Kevin Gallagher's watching the game with me, and I would say Manchester United, Kevin, yet to really get into their stride despite conceding the goal.
It's like a practice match now, John. You know, Newcastle have taken the early lead. They're happy to come back and get a bank of 4, then a bank of 5, and leave the one up front now and try and catch Manchester United on the break. And Manchester United are getting all the possession, but they get into the final third and they give it away, which makes it then easier for Newcastle to get a hold of it. But at the minute, the last couple of minutes, the game has got slightly scrappy because both sides are trying for a longer pass.
It is Exeter 0, Oxford 1. I also notice here, Kevin, interestingly, it does have great relevance, the FC United of Manchester game against Witton Albion today has been abandoned after 11 minutes due to a waterlogged pitch. And the rain is pouring down as Giggs tries to play the ball through the inside left position for the run from centre field from Van Persie, but it was just cut out by Danny Simpson, himself a native of these parts, former Manchester United academy boy. Simpson at right back for Newcastle. Van Persie in possession, gives it to Giggs on the left hand side. Giggs crossed to the near post, is headed away by Colaccini. It was just over the top of Hernandez's head. And Bristol City against Watford has been called up. Giggs with a cross from the left hand side is headed away by Williamson. That match was due to kick off 5 minutes ago, as I think Mark Pugac mentioned a little earlier at Ashton Gate. But heavy rain again in the West Country, and the Bristol City match has been called off before it got underway. So Manchester United in possession in the middle of the Newcastle half with Paul Scholes. Shrewsbury are 1-0 up on Notts County. Manchester United with the ball on the right hand side, and it's played forward by Ferdinand, who overran it actually. Ferdinand, who was a long way forward, and the ball is run for Newcastle, for Demba Ba. Ba up against Evans. Cisse making a run, plays it through, and Cisse won't get there. It was too close to De Gea. And actually Evans and Cisse tangled on the edge of the penalty area, and both went down in a heap, and Cisse stayed down. Newcastle want Manchester United to put the ball out of play, which they're not doing at the moment. Giggs has just got his eyes on Cisse. Still United in possession. Perch is herring around trying to get the ball off them. United are delaying it to see whether Cisse gets back to his feet, which he is now eventually doing.
It's kind of frustrating.
How strange.
At one stage, I mean, Ryan Giggs could have taken the ball another 20 yards into the opposite half, but
Van Persie plays it to Giggs, and then Giggs' ball across is cleared by Colaccini. Manchester United now suddenly putting pressure on Newcastle. Cross from Smalling is Williamson heads it away, but he seemed to be all over the back of Van Persie there inside the box. Hernandez, I beg his pardon, but he did get it away. Certainly Hernandez made an appeal to referee Dean for a penalty.
Well, as a striker, you're looking, he's across the defender, but Williamson's caught on the wrong side. He's climbing over the top of them, and you can only say it's a position of the referee that's why he's not given it.
That actually was not unlike Gareth Barry on Nicky Shorey last Saturday afternoon on the other side of Manchester. And in actual fact, it's very similar, because Hernandez was in a stationary position and Williamson was over the top of him trying to head the ball away.
Yeah, correct. And that's the thing, is inconsistency of referees and how they look at these situations.
Manchester United 1-0 down to Newcastle here. Van Persie just scores on the edge of the area. Challenge came in and it was poked away from Paul Scholes. Wolves 0, Peterborough 1. Peterborough winning again. Lee Tomlin once again with the goal for Darren Ferguson's team. Rangers are 1-0 up on Clyde in the 3rd division in Scotland. It's Colchester 1, Brentford 2, a goal back for Colchester, and Carlisle are winning 1-0 against Hartlepool in League One. Free kick to Manchester United out on the right. We'll just whiz round our featured matches after we see this Manchester United free kick out on the right. Valencia was fouled by Santon. I'm not sure there was a great deal in that, as we just see it again on our little screen in front of us, Kim. But anyway, the free kick, United ready to take it. Van Persie fires in from the right-hand side. Giggs tries to flick on, the ball rattles around inside the box. Hernandez is onto it, shoots, and it's scraped into the net by Johnny Evans. Evans is there again with his 4th goal of the season, the central defender, and he embraces Hernandez, who got the initial shot in. Troll making a very good save, but Evans was there sliding in to make the score. Manchester United 1, Newcastle 1.
And yet again, Newcastle United at a set piece, losing markers, switching off for the second ball. And again, the first ball that comes in, it comes in, it's whipped in from an outswinger, but Newcastle go back from the 18-yard box. They end up on the penalty spot and they end up at a scramble, so they're losing their markers, they're not defending properly. And then Johnny Evans, as a poacher does, he reacts to Chicharito getting in behind the defenders. I must say, it's a good save from Krul. He catches it with his foot, he spreads his feet, but it's a central defender reacts.
Ball played through to Barr. Barr shoots from the left side of the penalty area, but drags it across and behind for a goal kick. Cisse glares at him in the middle, as if to say, you might have passed it to me. But he went for goal, and I think probably as a striker he was entitled to. More from Kevin Gallagher on that in a moment. But it's now 1-1 here at Old Trafford on BBC 5 Live. And round all of the Premier League games we go, starting with Peter Slater on Wearside,
where it's still goalless. Joe Hart's just made the save of the match from Stephen Fletcher, one-handed, turning it away for a corner, but City have really dominated. Company's headed against the bar. He's had a shot cleared off the line by Colback, and Simon Mignolet has saved very well from David Silva. So City on top, but Sunderland the best chance. 25 minutes played, it's 0-0.
It's also Bradford 1, Accrington 0, and 1-1 the score here in front of 75,596 people. That's not too far short of capacity, which I think is over 75,600. There won't be too many spaces at Carroll Road, I'm sure, where Rob Nothman is watching Chelsea. There never are.
There certainly aren't any spare places, but for some of your excitement, John. It's 0-0 here. Poor game. Chelsea with most of the possession. They've done nothing with it. So let's have a Chelsea fan report. The 16th minute cheering for Di Matteo was rather tepid today. I wonder if the frostiness towards Benitez is thawing a little. And the biggest cheer for substitute Frank Lampard warming up. I wonder how long it is before he comes on. It's Norwich 0, Chelsea 0.
Yes, I thought that would happen, as Jimmy Armfield is wont to say. I know Jimmy's got a bit of a bad back at the moment, so if he's listening, I hope
Here comes Kone.
Jimmy and Anne had a very happy Christmas, and hopefully we'll see Jimmy again very soon. Burton 2-0 up on Rochdale, and it is Bolton 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1 in the Championship. Mikel Antonio with the goal for Dave Jones' side. Next to Goodison Park again, and Jonathan Ledgard.
0-0 Everton Wigan. This game's struggling on a very sodden pitch. Watched the ball pass there by Phil Neville on his 500th Premier League start, and there was water just kicked up behind it as it went. A lot of long balls, but it's a fairly ordinary game. Everton being way to a really hard, more pleasing play by Wigan. And Achabian Gibson already spoken to. Last warnings too from referee Lee Mason. 0-0.
The only other Premier League game on this Boxing Day that has a goal this far is being played out in front of John Southall, but Newcastle on the attack. Simpson plays it forward, and it's into the net. No, it's ruled out. The offside flag is up. It went in off Johnny Evans for what would have been an own goal, but the offside flag went up, and of course the Newcastle players are now surrounding referee Mike Dean and saying, how could it be offside if it went in off the Manchester United player?
It's just unbelievable. When the strike comes in and you're looking at it, there's 3 or 4 players in there, but what you've got to look at, John, for me, is the reaction of the Manchester United players. Danny Simpson gets on it. He has a great strike. Yes, I think it's Demba Ba's offside. He gets a nice little flick heel. He goes in the back of it. Johnny Evans thinks it's from him.
Now, hang on, Kevin. Referee Mike Dean, after most of the Newcastle players surrounded the referee, who stood his ground, has now said to them, he's made it plain that he's going to come across and speak to his assistant about this. And surely, if it's gone in off Johnny Evans, it must be a goal.
Yep.
Well, Mike Dean is talking to the assistant. Demba Ba was in an offside position, but the ball hit. Yes, it is. It's a Newcastle goal. It had to be. It had to be. It is a Johnny Evans own goal, and Newcastle are in front again against Manchester United here at Old Trafford. And now it's the Manchester United players who are going to Mike Dean. Carrick is there, Giggs is there, Evans, Evra as well. Evra is captain today. Rio Ferdinand comes across, but it had to be a goal.
Yeah, you can tell by Johnny Evans. You know, you've got Giggs, you've got Evra, you've got Carrick, Ferdinand, all round the referee Mike Dean asking for the explanation. Johnny Evans was the one that's actually walked away. He knows it's hit his leg and flew in the back of the net. He knows the honesty side of it's come out and over him, and you can tell with the body reaction compared to the other players who are absolutely livid that the offside decision wasn't given. Johnny Evans knows he was the last one to play in the back of the net.
Point's just been made, well, actually, by Steve, who's our producer today. So Demba Ba was in an offside position, but he was very close to Johnny Evans. And the question that Steve has posed there, which I'll put to you, is, could Ba considered to be active because he was putting pressure on Johnny Evans?
There's two ways of looking at it, and the main way of looking at it is he in the line of ball to the goalkeeper? That's what you've got to look at, because when Danny Simpson shoots from the angle, he's not interfering with it. He's in line with the ball, but De Gea is looking at it at an angle, so he's clearly in vision. As Johnny Evans puts his foot out to block it in front of him, it hits his leg and flies past him. So you can see in the secondary side of it, he's not offside, but the initial one you think, well, it's a shot, it's going to go to him. Surely he must be offside.
It's a great talking point. I have to say, in the traditional sense, you know, the ball has hit Evans and gone into the net, and the fact that Ba was in an offside position, in the traditional sense, would not be a part of it.
Well, if it was black and white, it would definitely be offside, because the initial shot is going towards Ba, who's in an offside position. Even though the interference from Evans takes it to stage 2 as the class now, and the game carries on.
I'm pleased you're doing your coaching badges at the moment, by the way.
Until it comes in handy.
Yeah. Newcastle leading Manchester United by 2-1. More goals for you in a moment. But here's Simpson now, goes through 2 tackles into the area, and then had a rush of blood to the head. And with 2 Newcastle players in the middle, I think went for glory, Danny Simpson, against his former club, and struck the ball high over the crossbar and rather wildly for a goal kick. Right, more goals to tell you about first. Carlisle are now 2-0 up against the League One bottom club Hartlepool. Crawley have equalised at Portsmouth. It's Portsmouth 1, Crawley 1. Kilmarnock are winning 1-0 against Hearts, a Liam Kelly penalty. And MK Dons 1, Walsall 2. We are going to go to Craven Cottage for an update from John Southall.
Well, it's Fulham 1, Southampton 0. That Berbatov goal, his 6th of the season. The goalkeeper, though, Kelvin Davis, should have done a lot better. Could have been 2-0. Katja Nikolic, who's been a real threat down the left-hand side, put the ball on Berbatov's head. He was on the penalty spot, headed wide. Fulham 1, Southampton 0.
Manchester United with a free kick out on the right-hand side. Van Persie strikes it in very high. Krull comes and gets a punch away for Newcastle. It's also Oldham 1, Doncaster 1, equaliser for Oldham. Cheltenham are 1-0 up on Wickham, and there is a goal at Motherwell. Ian Turner.
30 minutes played, Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0. Jamie Murphy with a snapshot from 20 yards into the corner. Earlier it was a Tom Haitley header that had given Motherwell the lead. 30 minutes gone, Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0.
Let me also tell you that Sheffield Wednesday still winning 1-0 at Bolton. It was initially given to Antonio, but it's been corrected to be given as a Mamadi Sidibe goal for Sheffield Wednesday, winning 1-0 at Bolton. So Manchester United 1, Newcastle 2. Really eventful first half hour here at Old Trafford. Next we're going to Reading Swansea and Simon Mann.
12 minutes to go until half-time. It's still Reading 0, Swansea 0. Swansea dominating possession. Reading trying to be disciplined in defence and biding their time. That's what they're hoping to do anyway. Swansea have not created a great deal, but they have missed a fantastic chance. Michu from close range after a terrible mistake by Chris Gunter. He chested the ball down into Michu's path, almost as if he was playing for Swansea. Michu put it over the bar though. Incredible miss. Reading 0, Swansea 0.
It's also Stevenage 1, Coventry 0, and Bournemouth 1, Yeovil 0. Here Manchester United 1, Newcastle 2 in the Barclays Premier League, with Johnny Evans having scored at both ends. after James Perch gave Newcastle a very early lead. Remarkable, really, in terms of just the goal scorers. And now it's Newcastle coming forward again with Santon, who shoots right-footed. De Gea, whoa, juggled with it and then gathered it with Barr arriving at the scene.
I like to see that from the strikers. You know, he knows there's going to be a shot from Santon. So what you do is you just get off your mark and you follow up, because you never know. They've already seen David De Gea spill it for the first goal. So you take that gamble. Dembaba does, but it's just close enough for De Gea to get his hands on it.
We haven't really touched on that too much, other than mentioning it at the time. For the opening goal, the Perch goal, De Gea didn't cover himself in glory there, did he?
He didn't. And I mean, I got a right good look at it, John, in the monitor that we've got in front of us. And as the shots come in, he's actually looking to get a strong hand on it. It actually hits his wrist and not the palm of his hand. Hits his wrist, flies out straight to James Perch. Whereas I think if he gets his hand on it, he can push it to the side and it would have been away from danger.
Cheltenham now 2-0 up on Wickham. And Aldershot winning 1-0 against Bristol Rovers. Now John Ward's Bristol Rovers. Actually, interestingly, or at least it was interesting to me, I hope it will be to listeners. I'll tell you in a moment. Here's Hernandez coming forward towards the edge of the penalty area. Hernandez running into Williamson. Williamson just got a little touch on the ball there. And Hernandez has to pick himself up from the ground again. John Ward taking over at Bristol Rovers. I'll make it when I was doing one of the various reviews of the footballing year, that now of the 92 clubs, 47 of the managers have been appointed this season. Cisse tries to take the ball through to the edge of the area, and that was a blatant handball by Johnny Evans. So a yellow card now for Johnny Evans, who scored at both ends and now yellow carded in the first 35 minutes of the game. Just to clarify that, 47 of the 92 appointed in 2012. And that is obviously over half of the 92 managers have been appointed in this year. MK Dons now 2-2 with Walsall. And a free kick to Newcastle after that deliberate Evans handball that is going to be taken by Marvaux. Then we'll whip around our featured games in the N-Power Championship. But Marvaux, as Newcastle look to take a 3-1 lead here. Marvaux, left-footed in towards the penalty spot, headed away by Evans, twisted his head as he made contact, and Ferdinand gets it further away. So it remains Manchester United 1, Newcastle 2. Another ball hoisted into the Manchester United box. Evans is there again to head it away for the home side. Van Persie nods it back to Scholes, and Scholes put under pressure by Perch, has to play it to Carrick. And now Giggs takes it up. Giggs gives it to Scholes. That's the 39-year-old to the 38-year-old. Scholes just checks back onto his right foot and gives it to Carrick. And Carrick, now product of Wallsend Boys Club, plays it to the left-hand side to Evra. Once again, Carrick. The player's already absolutely saturated, as is Alan Pardew, whose silvery hair is plastered to his head. United with Valencia. Plays it to the right-hand side now. Smalling's pushed well up the right flank. Now Van Persie just inside the penalty area, forced out of it. Van Persie gives it back to Scholes, who puts one foot on it and then delivers to the back post. Evra is there, heads it down, but from an offside position. So it's a Newcastle free kick. Manchester United 1, Newcastle 2, the score here. And the latest from Motherwell Aberdeen comes from Ian Turner.
Same score, Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 1. Johnny Hayes has pulled one back for Motherwell, his fourth of the season. Picked up the ball about the centre circle, drove for the box, a low left foot shot, leaving Randolph with no chance. Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 1.
Earlier, it finished 1-1 between one of Gallagher's old clubs, Dundee United, and St Johnstone at Tannadice in the early kick-off. Celtic play at Dundee tonight. Ferdinand's now given it away, and the ball is being carried long and forward by Marvaux into the penalty area, who was just caught there by Hernandez just outside the box. Hernandez is complaining about this, but it's a yellow card and a free kick to Newcastle.
And at the very, very dangerous area, it was getting very close. You could see it just approaching the 18-yard box. I think the referee's pulling it back, because it all started about 24 yards. It was a pull in the shirt, then he sticks his leg out, but then as Marvaux goes down, not theatrically, just goes down to ground, he actually sees the white line. It's like a sprinter when he was dipping for the line.
I just don't get how Hernandez can complain about that. He might have suggested that he got a touch on the ball, but he'd actually laid both hands, one after the other, on Marvaux's shoulder as the two of them ran, with Hernandez slightly behind the other. We're going to go to Carroll Road in a moment, but Newcastle have got this free kick right of centre. The referee, Dean, is wanting the wall moved back. Newcastle still sorting themselves out here. I see Anita has joined the Manchester United war. Marvo standing to the right of the ball. Bigarimana is moving away. And it looks as though it is Marvo who hits the crossbar with the free kick. De Gea would have been beaten, but it strikes the crossbar and rebounds out into the penalty area, and now Ferdinand heads it away. So let's get to Norwich and Rob Northman.
Norwich 0, Chelsea 1, but a goal completely out of character with what's been a poor game so far. Juan Mata, some Spanish brilliance on the edge of the area, and a 20-yarder into the corner of the net. It's Norwich 0, Chelsea 1.
Newcastle continuing to put pressure on Manchester United. Newcastle leading by 2-1. Newcastle have not won here against Manchester United for over 40 years. Marvel with a cross. Colaccini chests it down. Colaccini slides into the challenge and then fouls Paul Scholes on the edge of the area, and it's a Manchester United free kick. So 1, Manchester United 1, Newcastle 2 remains the score. It is now Barnsley 0, Birmingham 1 in the Championship. Curtis Davis with the goal for Birmingham. And we'll update our featured matches in the Championship. The 5 Live Sports Extra commentary game is the Cardiff Crystal Palace match, which is being watched for 5 Live by John Akers.
Yeah, living up to its billing, this one, John. 7 to half-time, Cardiff 0, Palace 1. Jedinak unmarked from a corner with a side-foot volley, totally unmarked. Palace good for the lead too. Zaha's hit the bar for them. Bellamy's gone close, good save by Speroni. It's Cardiff 0, Palace 1.
In the 2 earlier kickoffs in the Championship, it finished Charlton 1, Ipswich 2, and in our first commentary game of 4 on this Boxing Day on 5 Live, Nottingham Forest beat Leeds by 4-2. There's been a goal in the Hull City-Leicester game. Steve May.
Well, if there has, John, I haven't seen it because it's 0-0 here. Early chances for Leicester through Knockart and Drinkwater, but Hull have come to life in the last couple of minutes. Simpson had one cleared off the line, and Schmeichel did well to turn Aluku's effort away. It's definitely Hull 0, Leicester 0.
Excellent, thank you, Steve. I'm pleased we could clarify that. There has, however, I'm assured, been a goal in the QPR West Brom game. Mark Pugac.
Hugely significant goal for West Brom. Chris Brunt with the most precise and firm 25-yard daisy cutter past the left hand of Robert Green. In the pouring rain, QPR 0, West Brom 1.
And how are things on Quayside, Alistair Yeomans?
It's definitely 0-0, John, but I must say faltering Blackburn have done so pretty well so far. They've had the best chance. Colin Kazim-Richards hit the outside of the post as he tried to turn the ball in with the outside of his foot. Borough getting back into it a bit more, but as your summarise will tell you, it's very important when Danny Murphy can get his foot on the ball. He's having a great game.
Yeah, Kevin, who of course is a former Blackburn player as well. Kevin Gallagher alongside us here at Old Trafford today. It is now Rangers 2, Clyde 0, and Barnsley have equalised against Birmingham. It's 1-1 at Oakwell. Also Inverness, Caledonian Thistle equalising against St Mirren. It's 1-1. Andrew Shinney, the Terry Butcher's side. And latest score in the Rabo Direct Pro 12 is Cardiff Blues 12, Newport Gwent 10. So 12-10 to Cardiff. So 2-1 to Newcastle remains the score here. Really eventful first half, Kevin. 3 minutes of it to go, the 45 at least.
Well, I mean, there's no sitting back. I mean, everybody's on the edge of their seats at the minute because the game is very open. It's end-to-end stuff. But it's all played in the midfield area, you know, and if someone puts a couple of passes together, then you're on the attack.
Goal given away by Newcastle, and now Giggs motoring forward. Well, Williamson in with a challenge, yes, and he did catch Giggs, and it's a free kick to Manchester United. Left of centre, just slightly left of centre. So that's a yellow card for Williamson now, and United with a set piece in a dangerous position. I would be on the edge of my seat if I could get there, Kevin, but as you know, we are wedged in at Old Trafford. And I just really can't move any more than I am. I actually, once I get in here, that's it, I'm set.
That's once you're in, it's those long legs because.
But you're on the edge of your seat.
I'm on the edge because I'm small enough to actually fit in this little tiny gap that we're in. But right. You being twice the size that you are of my height,
it's difficult.
It is very, very difficult.
United with this free kick. Well, Van Persie likes the look of it. Van Persie, who's scored in 4 of the last 5 games for United, didn't get one at Swansea on Sunday, of course. But 15 goals for United in all competitions after his move in the summer, in the transfer window. Van Persie on his left foot from the free kick. Hits it left-footed, curls it wide of the post and behind.
Oh, it's a good 3-4 yards just not on it. But the thing I've noticed about the grass, John, today is I think the grass is very long, and when you're hitting the wet passes in the rain, it skids off the surface, but then it slows up. So the defenders and the midfielders, you can't give anything up because the ball does slow down. And that's where probably Van Persie, when he's looking at the free kick, it's sitting on the top of the grass, and when he's gone and tried to bend it round, he's gone underneath the ball, he's hit it flat, it's not got the bend in it, and that's why it's gone as wide as where he wanted it to go.
Burnley are 1-0 up on Derby. Their top scorer Charlie Austin with the goal. Manchester United coming forward up the right hand side with Valencia, but he's overrun it, and Newcastle put it out of play for a throw to Manchester United on the right. And it's now Burton Albion 2, Rochdale 1, a goal back for Rochdale. So if you've just joined us, if you're a little late on Boxing Day, well, I suppose it's understandable. You missed our first commentary when Forest beat Leeds 4-2, and now Newcastle 2-1 up here at Old Trafford as Smalling challenges for the ball but slides it behind for what is a Newcastle goal kick. Newcastle took the lead in the 4th minute through James Perch, his first goal for Newcastle in a competitive match after De Gea pushed a Demba Ba shot straight out to him and James Perch scored. It was 1-1 after the ball rattled around inside the Newcastle box and Johnny Evans slid in to score. But then the contentious incident when Johnny Evans put the ball into his own net. Initially there was a flag for offside. The goal was not awarded initially by Mike Dean, the referee, but after protestations from the Newcastle players, Mike Dean came across to his assistant and I think rightly so, Kevin, decided that it was an own goal. It should stand, and Newcastle 2-1 up.
Yeah, I mean, initially from the angle from the shot that Danny Simpson had, you know, you are standing offside position, but the ball doesn't reach him. Johnny Evans gets there, he puts the ball past his own goalkeeper. That's the first phase. So really in phase 1, it's got to be given, but as we said, there was a little bit of chat between the referee and his assistant to give before they gave the goal.
Here is Cisse on the right hand side. Cisse crossing via a couple of deflections. It reaches Marvaux, then Bigarimana plays it back towards Santon, and Santon, right-footed, plays it over the top to the edge of the area to Barr. Ferdinand was right behind him and fouls Ferdinand. Just a little tug. Free kick to Manchester United. It's where are we? Burton 2, Rochdale 1, and Manchester United with this free kick just inside their own penalty area. Evra plays it back to Johnny Evans. He certainly had an eventful game. He's, I have to say, Kevin, I think he looks a little bit like he's been affected by what's happened to him, the scoring of the own goal, having scored at the other end. He's been rather uncertain, Johnny Evans, since that incident.
Well, he got a little bit nervous, but, you know, it goes away back to, I think, after they lost the first goal with David De Gea. You know, Johnny Evans was the one that should have possibly come out a little bit quicker to Danny Simpson, who had made an advanced run to maybe get a block in the shot. David De Gea saves it. Rio Ferdinand gets caught as James Perch is the one that puts in the back of the net. So there is still a little bit of uncertainty, I think, between Ferdinand, Evans and De Gea, and that breeds a little bit of nervousness inside back of your mind when you've got those worries in your head.
United coming forward, Manchester United with Valencia, crosses from the right, and it comes off Bigarimana back into Valencia and behind for a goal kick. So 2-1 to Newcastle. And that's it. The end of the first half, and boos from the home supporters. I presume they're boos directed at the officials, or maybe some of them directed at the home side. Anyway, Newcastle winning 2-1, Kevin Gallagher.
Yeah, a big surprise, but Newcastle came out the traps right away. You know, they tested De Gea right away. He makes a fall. They go 1-0 down, and again Manchester United have that mountain to climb. But I must admit, Newcastle, and apart from the set piece that allowed Manchester United back in the game, I've come away from home playing very, very well. So I think Alan Pardew will be happier. He has to tighten up the set pieces, but Sir Alex Ferguson, he's got to get a hold of the Manchester United players, because yet again they're behind.
Just noticed that Peterborough, the Championship's bottom club, are going well again and have scored just before half-time at Wolves. It's Wolves 0, Peterborough 2. But the big story of the afternoon so far, here in front of our eyes at Old Trafford, where it is Manchester United 1, Newcastle United 2 at half-time.
Quite a story on Boxing Day so far at Old Trafford. Kevin Gallagher and John Murray with the second half to come. Here at Loftus Road, we're a little bit behind everybody else because of a delayed kick-off because of congestion. So we're in the 38th minute here, and it's QPR 0, West Brom 1. A goal from Chris Brunt after 29 minutes, a very precise 25-yard daisy cutter. Tarap has been very bright for QPR. He's just curled a free kick wide, but at the moment, more doom and gloom to match the weather for Queen's Park Rangers. Right, half-time whistles being blown everywhere, but late goals as well. Let's start at Cardiff in the big game in the Championship. John Akers.
Yeah, Cardiff have equalised, Mark, right at the end of the half. Craig Bellamy with a run down the left-hand side, a low cross and a really nice first-time finish from Craig Noon as the half-time whistle goes. He's equalised. Jedinak's goal, which came midway through the first half, a right-foot shot from a corner, a volley first time. It's been full of incident. It's been quite spicy as well. A few yellow cards thrown around too. Zaha's hit the crossbar for Crystal Palace. Bellamy's gone close for Cardiff. Promises to be a really decent second half here. First versus third. It's Cardiff 1, Palace 1.
So the Manchester City players will be back in the dressing room at Stadium of Light, and they'll hear the score at Old Trafford. It should put a little bit of ginger in their step, Peter Slater.
It should do. It's 0-0 here against Sunderland. They've played pretty well first half, City. They've certainly dictated the pace of the game in the main. Vincent Kompany striking the bar with a header early on. Mignolet saving the rebound from Yaya Toure. Kompany's also had an effort cleared off the line by Colback, and Mignolet's made an instinctive stop from David Silva, but Sunderland are still in it, and they forced the save of the half. Stephen Fletcher's shot turned one-handed round a post by Joe Hart. So Martin O'Neill has something to work on at half-time, but as you say, City will no doubt be greatly cheered by that score from Old Trafford. Half-time here, Sunderland 0, Manchester City 0.
Arsenal beaten at Norwich recently, Manchester United beaten at Norwich recently, but not at the moment Chelsea, Rob Nothman.
No, Chelsea one up at half-time. It hasn't been 45 minutes of beauty, but gradually Chelsea asserted their superiority. Juan Mata scored a fine goal 7 minutes before the break. His left footer from 20 yards winging its way into the corner. David Luiz and Johnny Obi Mikel have had plenty of possession in their holding roles in midfield, but haven't been wholly convincing. Perhaps Frank Lampard will be on from the bench in the second half. That will please the Chelsea fans who've been singing his name at every opportunity. Norwich have been busy and committed, but they haven't created anything of note. Grant Holt receiving limited rations up front. At half-time, with the rain sweeping in, it's arrived in East Anglia. Norwich 0, Chelsea 1.
It does feel like it's raining across the country on this Boxing Day as we go to Goodison Park and Jonathan Ledgard.
We've had it here, and maybe that's to blame for a half-time score. Everton 0, Wigan 0. You did say that Everton have the chance to go third, didn't you, at the start of this? Because on this showing, Wigan looked more the part. At best, though, this has been ordinary. Track pretty disappointing. Conditions not helping. Rain's been incessant. The pitch is saturated. Ball being held up all the time, and the tackles are very risky. Final warnings already to Gibson and Anachabi. But Al Habsi hasn't had a save worthy of the name to make. Tim Howard's goal has hardly been threatened either. I could tell you about Brereton corners and appeal for handball, but frankly, I'd waste your time. 0-0.
We like it. Brevity is best as always. John Southall at Craven Cottage.
Well, it's Fulham 1, Southampton 0, a half that's been played out against the backdrop of driving, swirling rain. The goal came after just 8 minutes. Sasha Reether hair down the right-hand side. He whipped over a tremendous low cross. Kelvin Davis, the Southampton goalkeeper, should have dealt with him much better. He could only parry it into the path of Dimitir Berbatov, who doesn't miss from 6 yards out. He then ripped off his shirt to show a T-shirt below that said "Keep calm and always pass the ball to me." He's a modest chap, isn't he? He should have scored a second actually moments later when he headed wide. Southampton, I have to say, have shown a threat going forward, and I still think they can get something from this. So Dimitir Berbatov's goal, his T-shirt, and Fulham lead 1-0.
You see, Johnny said pass the ball to me, don't cross the ball to me. That's what he was said. Don't put it in my head. I can't head it. And to the Medeski, Simon Mann.
Half-time is Reading 0, Swansea 0. I think Brian McDermott quietly might be happy at half-time, because Michu missed a great chance to put Swansea 1-0 up after Chris Gunter of Reading obligingly chested the ball down for him. Michu over from close range, but B, because despite Swansea's possession, they haven't created a lot, and Reading have been very disciplined. They've been getting plenty of players behind the ball. The next stage of Reading is to actually create a decent chance or two and take one, stay in the game and see where it takes you. They had a penalty claim, but not much else in the first half. Michu was just wide from outside the box with Swansea's other chance. There haven't been a great deal. It's Reading 0, Swansea 0 at half-time.
3 minutes to go to half-time here at Loftus Road. Still QPR 0, West Brom 1. Brunt after 29 minutes. We'll have a couple of minutes of stoppage time because of a few injuries. Right into Scotland. Dundee United 1, St Johnstone 1. A result from lunchtime. Plenty of goals at Fir Park, Ian Turner in the first half.
Yes, Motherwell 3, Aberdeen 1. Really good half of football, end-to-end action, 4 goals. The Dons could have been 2 up before Tom Haitley headed Motherwell in front after good work from Francis Angol. Jamie Murphy then doubled the home lead in the half hour with a 20-yarder before a similar effort from Johnny Hayes gave the Dons hope. Then on the stroke of half-time, Murphy's low shot gave us a half-time score of Motherwell 3, Aberdeen 1.
Let's go into the Empower Championship then, and Steve May at the KC, Hull against Leicester.
Hull City 0, Leicester City 0. Leicester looking good in the early stages. Knockaert and Drinkwater forcing Jakubovic in the Hull goal into good saves, but Hull woke up in the last 15 minutes. Delat cleared off the line from Jay Simpson, and Schmeichel dived to his left to save from the returning Aluko. Good game this. It's 0-0 at half-time.
As we go to the Riverside, Middlesbrough against Blackburn, who are horribly out of form. Alistair Yeomans.
They are. They're doing all right, Mark. It is Middlesbrough 0, Blackburn 0. Middlesbrough have got into it more as the half went on. As you'd expect, Scott McDonald, a snapshot just wide. Emmanuel Ledesma, a shot parried by young Jake Keane in the Blackburn goal. McDonald's follow-up shot saved. And just before the break, Lukas Djukovic couldn't turn in the bouncing ball. Another good save by Keane. 0-0 at half-time. It's dry here, Mark. Book your holidays in the northeast. Scarborough's nice, I'm told.
So says the Scarborough Tourist Board in the guise of Alistair there. Yes, about the only dry part, it seems, of the UK today, as a header goes wide from Clint Hill from a corner from QPR. A couple of minutes to go till stoppage time. We began 11 minutes late here because of congestion, and West Brom 1 up on QPR. So in the Empower Championship, Cardiff 1, Crystal Palace 1. We heard as well half-time from the big game at the top, which is live on Sports Extra. Elsewhere half-time, Barnsley 1, Birmingham 1, Bolton 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1, Burnley 1, Derby 0, another goal for Charlie Austin there. Huddersfield Blackpool is goalless, Wolves 0, Peterborough 2, Bristol City Watford called off just about as they were due to start at Ashton Gate because of torrential rain. An early result, Charlton 1, Ipswich 2, and Nottingham Forest 4, Leeds 2. Into League 1 then, and Bournemouth 1, Yeovil 0, Carlisle 2, Hartlepool 0, Colchester 1, Brentford 2, MK Dons 2, Walsall 3, Oldham 1, Doncaster 1, Portsmouth 1, Crawley 1, Preston 0, Bury 0, Sheffield United 1, Scunthorpe 0. Derm Tanner with the details from Bramall Lane.
Long for that goal to happen either. Sheffield United head after just 4 minutes. Sean Miller too strong outside the box, struggling off the challenge, and a very good finish as well. But to be honest, Scunthorpe rather perked up after that and really should at least be going in level. Damien Mozica hitting a bar from a header from Jimmy Ryan's cross, should have scored there. Duffy cross just before half-time. Carl Howley just missing by a whisker. The worry for Sheffield United, Sean Miller, the goal scorer, limping off with a knee injury. They're patching him up now. Sheffield United leading Scunthorpe at half-time 1-0.
Elsewhere in League 1, Shrewsbury 1, Notts County 2, Stevenage 1, Coventry 0, Tranmere 0, Crewe 1. Leyton Orient Swindon was called off yesterday. 3 minutes of stoppage time here. We're into it now. West Brom 1 up on QPR at the end of the first half in the Premier League. League 2 half-times, Aldershot 1, Bristol Rovers 0, Bradford 1, Accrington 0, Burton Albion 2, Rochdale 1, Cheltenham 2, Wickham 0, Chesterfield 0, York 0, Exeter 0, Oxford 1, Fleetwood 0, Morecambe 0, and Rotherham 0, Port Vale 0. AFC Wimbledon Northampton is postponed. An early result, Dagenham 0, Southend 3. Bit of a surprise at the Priestfield, Gillingham 0, Barnet 1, and Plymouth 1, Torquay 1 in the local derby in the West Country. Blue Square Bet Premier. Now, some of these half-time, some full-time. Half-time, Braintree 0, Cambridge 1. Full-time, Dartford 3, Ebbsfleet 1. Forest Green 1, Newport 2. Half-time, Hereford 0, Kidderminster 1. Full-time, Lincoln 1, Grimsby 4. Half-time, Luton 2, Woking 0, and Mansfield 1, Alfreton Town 1. Full-time, Nuneaton 2, Tamworth 1, and Wrexham 4, AFC Telford 1. Half-times, Southport 2, Macclesfield 0, Stockport 0, Hyde 2. SPL then half-times, Hibs 0, Ross County 0, Inverness 1, St Mirren 1, Kilmarnock 1, Hearts 0, and confirmation Motherwell 3, Aberdeen 1. First Division in Scotland half-times, Dunfermline 0, Falkirk 0, Hamilton 2, Airdrie 0, Partick 1, Morton 0. Second Division, Albion 1, Ayr 0, and Queen of the South 1, Stranraer 1, and third division half-time, Rangers 2, Clyde 0. A result from the second division, Brechin 3, Arbroath 2. Right, you're up to date with all the football then, and let's go to Cornelius Slicer. A thrilling day's racing at Kempton, and a King George to remember, as they so often are, Cornelius.
It wasn't very pretty, Mark. It was desperate stuff in the mud here at Kempton, but in a photo, the favourite Long Run got back past Captain Chris, who looked sure to win, to become the 13th horse to win 2 King Georges. Long Run, ridden by amateur jockey, part-time jockey if you like, Sam Whaley-Cohen, who recorded a double here at Kempton today, riding in the silks of his owner, Father Robert, and in-form Nicky Henderson is Long Run's trainer. Well, after the race for 5 Live Sport, Whaley-Cohen described that breathless finish.
I think he got to the front and probably just pricked his ears. But at the same time, once they do that on the ground like today, it's hard to get them going again. And when, when Dickie came to me, he just pricked his ears. I tried to get close to him, but we didn't have enough energy in the tank to go long, and well, he's not very clever going short, so I was just trying to make some room by taking him going left, but it's all about just sitting tight and hoping, and he's done it. He's done it for us and done it for me, and what a wonderful horse.
And at what point did you think, I am going to win this? You've ended up winning by a neck, in fact.
Yeah, probably just past the post. I could feel him rallying, I could feel him picking up, but I just didn't know where the finish line was going to come too early, and I was just screaming and pushing and hoping, and he got there.
Long Run, 15-8 favourite, beat Captain Chris at 16-1, with Grand Cru at 7-1 in third. And Mark, having reclaimed the King George today, Long Run and Sam Whaley-Cohen will try to do the same in the Cheltenham Gold Cup in March.
Terrific racing from Kempton. More to come a little bit later on, more reaction. Thank you, Cornelius. Half-time now here at Loftus Road. It's Queen's Park Rangers 0, West Brom 1. Chris Brunt after 29 minutes. And apart from Tarapt, who looked very bright for QPR, to be fair, it looked like West Brom more likely to add to that. James Morrison curling one just wide in stoppage time when Lukaku arguably was much better placed. Just to confirm then, all the half-times in the Premier League: Everton 0, Wigan 0, Fulham 1, Southampton 0, Manchester United 1, Newcastle 2 in our commentary game back there for the second half. Norwich 0, Chelsea 1, the ever-impressive Mata with the goal there. West Brom 1 up here, and goalless Reading, Swansea, Sunderland, Manchester City. Commentary to come tonight: Aston Villa, Tottenham at 5:30, Stoke, Liverpool at 7:45, and the second half of Cardiff, Crystal Palace on Sports Extra. 1-1 there at half-time as we go to the news at exactly 4 o'clock with Faye Carruthers.
On digital radio, digital TV, mobile and online.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The Countryside Alliance says ministers must stand by their commitment to hold a vote on hunting with dogs in England and Wales this Parliament. It's after the Conservative Party chairman, Grant Shapps, admitted his party can't overturn it at the moment, as the government would lose a free vote of MPs. 2 children have been flown to hospital after a crash involving 4 cars on the A174 near Redcar. The Great North Air Ambulance Service says it treated a 7-year-old boy at the scene, and police say a number of other casualties were taken to hospital in Middlesbrough. The commander of Syria's military police has defected and joined the uprising against President Assad's government. In a statement, he said the Syrian army had turned into gangs of killers. The National Audit Office will investigate BBC severance packages. The decision was taken after it emerged that the former Director General, George Entwistle, received £450,000 when he stood down in the wake of the Jimmy Savile affair. Finally, China's opened the world's longest high-speed rail route, running from the capital, Beijing, to Guangzhou in the south of the country. That's more than 1,400 miles. Travel time will be cut from more than 20 hours to about 8.
Sports Report on 5 Live.
So, Manchester United 1, Newcastle 2 at half-time. Manchester City drawing 0-0 at Sunderland. Commentary to come from Aston Villa and Stoke City. John Murray, I know you can't move. But
this is interesting here with Newcastle 2-1 up and this contentious second goal that Newcastle have scored. Sir Alex Ferguson has made a decision here, while he is coming, to walk from the tunnel to go onto the pitch to speak to Mike Dean, the referee, and Sir Alex clearly agitated about something, and that it could very well be the way that the second Newcastle goal was awarded. It could also be the fact that Manchester United are out on the pitch and there is still no Newcastle yet, and in actual fact I think that's what it is, because he's also remonstrating with the fourth official, as if to say now Sir Alex has gone to the assistant here, who was involved in the
in the goal, and Sir Alex now is all arm gestures and is speaking very, very firmly to the assistant who's involved, and the assistant's had a little word back with Sir Alex, who has now come back at him and speaking to him from close quarters. Then both palms go up in the air. Now palms are wide apart, and now the assistant is moving away to take up his position for the start of the game, and Sir Alex has put his hood on his coat, has turned round, zipped it up, and has walked up into the coaching area. Well, if ever there was a public dressing down for match officials, we saw it here alongside 75,500 other people.
Well, it's unbelievable, isn't it? You know, it's normally two of the teams come out for the second half and managers get to the dugouts, but Sir Alex was absolutely livid, had a long conversation with Mike Dean, and then a little spat with the fourth officials.
This is all to do with the awarding of Newcastle's second goal, which is a really big talking point. Kevin Gallagher and I and the rest of us round here have spent most of half-time talking about it. I'll explain it in full if you haven't seen it yet. But the fact is, it says on the scoreboard there, Manchester United in red, 1, Newcastle in white, 2. Teams are unchanged, which is another interesting thing at the start of the second half. No changes for Manchester United. So the United team, De Gea, Smalling, Ferdinand, Evans and Evra, Scholes and Carrick, Valencia, Giggs, Hernandez and Van Persie. There is no Wayne Rooney today, no Ashley Young either. The official line is that they have both picked up knocks in training. The Newcastle team in a moment, but Newcastle coming forward, the cross from way out on the right drifts behind for a goal kick. So the Newcastle side, Krull, Simpson, Williamson, Colaccini and Santon, Anita, Perch and Marvaux, Cisse, Bigarimana and Barr. Manchester United went behind in the 4th minute to a James Perch goal, his first for Newcastle in a competitive match, after De Gea just pushed out a Demba Ba shot straight to him. Manchester United equalised through Johnny Evans, and then that controversial goal that put Newcastle 2-1 up came in the 28th minute when Danny Simpson played the ball across. Demba Ba was in an offside position behind Johnny Evans, but the ball struck Evans on the leg and went into his own net. The assistant initially disallowed it, flagged for offside, but the referee Mike Dean, after protests from the Newcastle players, went across, spoke to the assistant, and between them they decided that the goal should stand, and so 2-1 to Newcastle it is.
It's one of those things, John, with the laws of the game and how it's all distributed into a grey area, because to me, as soon as you shoot towards goal and there's a man standing in offside position, that's it, it's there in black and white, he's offside. But with today's laws, it changes now, and unfortunately for Manchester United, you know, Johnny Evans puts it in the back of the net and it doesn't get to reach Demba Ba, so the goal stands.
Yep, and that has incidentally been backed up by Graham Poll on social media today, who has said that Mike Dean has called that. Mike Dean and the assistant in the end have called it correctly, and that the goal should stand because it did not reach Demba Ba, who was in the offside position. It went in off the Manchester United player Evans. So the word from the world of officialdom is that Mike Dean got it right. So no matter what Sir Alex Ferguson has done on the pitch, and you know, I think you have to ask the question, is that the right thing for the Manchester United manager to be doing, to come onto the field there before the start of the second half and talk so forcefully with the referee and then the assistant? Come back to that. But here come United, trying to come from behind. Carrick plays it through to the left-hand side to Giggs, who tries to reach it, does so, pulls it back. Shot from the angle from Van Persie, but very difficult. Hooked it slightly behind him and hooked it wide to the near post. It is also Chesterfield 1, York 0, the first goal of the second half in the 3 o'clock kickoffs in the N-Power Football League.
Yeah, no, I just wonder, Sir Alex, obviously you don't get time to grab a hold of the referee on the way into the dressing room at half-time and have a word and get it clarified and things. And he's come out, he's found the right time, because Newcastle were, delayed at least by about a minute and a half of coming out onto the pitch. So you've got plenty of time. But to approach on the pitch, and I think that's the only side of it he gets away with, because when you come out at the corner of the tunnel at Old Trafford, you can actually walk on the pitch along the side.
Small ball played forward by Valencia for Hernandez, who was in an offside position. We're looking right along the line there, so it's a free kick to Newcastle. But to my mind, you would probably have to say that is undermining the match officials. And Sir Alex Ferguson at Swansea on Sunday was talking in terms of the FA having to act against Ashley Williams, the Swansea defender. Well, I think there's a strong argument there to say that the FA may well feel that they've got to act against Sir Alex Ferguson for his actions at the start of the second half here in relation to both officials.
It'll be very interesting, John. There'll be no doubt about it, because it's almost still about encroaching onto the football field. And that's the thing that he's done. He's encroached the football field. And if Mike Dean had felt it had been anything
before
harsh,
the start of the half.
Yeah, but if he'd have felt it was really harsh and abusive language, he's got the right to actually send him at the stand anyway.
Fair point. The game continuing in between the penalty areas. Manchester United 1, Newcastle 2, the score on 5 Live. Valencia plays it forward. Hit the upper body of Perch. Valencia felt it was a handball. That's not being given Manchester United's way. Newcastle come forward. This ends up in the back of the net. There'll be holy war. Ball played across from the left-hand side from Santon, but cleared away at the near post, so that eventuality will not arise. There has been a goal at Everton. Jonathan Ledyard.
At last, praise be, 6 minutes into the second half. Harsh on Wigan, I have to say, and you'll know by that it's Everton who scored. And it's Osman, Leon Osman, won England cap, but there'll be more if he plays like he did just then, jinking his way and took a deflection. El Habsi had no chance at all, but either way, the ball is in the net and Everton lead 1-0.
So all the scores in the 3 o'clock kickoffs or thereabouts this afternoon on Boxing Day on 5 Live. Manchester United 1, Newcastle 2 here in the commentary game. It is still Sunderland 0, second place Manchester City 0. It is Norwich 0, Chelsea 1. Everton winning 1-0 against Wigan, as we heard there. QPR 0, West Brom 1, as Manchester United played through the middle for Van Persie, but Krul is out to claim it at the feet of both Van Persie and Williamson. It's also Fulham 1, Southampton 0, and Reading 0, Swansea 0. The QPR West Brom game didn't kick off until, well, I think it was 11 minutes past 3, Mark Pugac said. So 2-1 to Newcastle. And the other point as well with Sir Alex, Kevin, is that, never, it seems, almost never does he do something that has not got a reason behind it. And there is also the effect there as Newcastle come forward. Bar with a near post header, but it's up and over the top and actually came off the defender behind him. Ferdinand for a corner to Newcastle. And Sir Alex there was not only sending a message to his players about how he feels, but was also, I feel, trying to fire up the crowd as well to get behind Manchester United in this game.
Yeah, that's what he'll be doing. He's a fiery character anyway. We know it. That's why he's had so much success at Manchester United. And he's gone in there. He got the Manchester United players out early, so they're out early. He's come out early, and he's asking, where are Newcastle?
Here comes the Newcastle corner, high from the right-hand side. De Gea gets a punch on it, out to the edge of the box. Bigaraman's after it. He plays it behind Anita. And now it's out to the right-hand side. A touch from Marveau. In comes the ball, too close to De Gea, who catches it into his chest. And we'll go straight to Sunderland, where there has been a goal, a first of the match. Peter Slater.
It's been scored by Adam Johnson of Sunderland against his former team. It was a rather speculative shot from the far outside right position, aimed at the near post of Joe Hart, and it somehow squirmed inside Joe Hart's near post. I thought at first Hart had got it. I think you'll have to put that down as a slight goalkeeping error. But Johnson the scorer, 53 minutes, Sunderland 1, Manchester City 0.
So, fancy. Manchester United losing at home to Newcastle and Manchester City losing at Sunderland. Valencia's been yellow carded, just a little late with the challenge near the halfway line. And Newcastle's free kick is badly wasted by Santon, who swung a pass out towards the right-hand side and gave it straight to Giggs. And Giggs has now carried it a long way and plays it into the penalty area to Hernandez. Colaccini came across, shoulder to shoulder. I think he took the ball there and it bounced away and Krul was able to pick it up. And Hernandez stays on the ground. Also, Exeter 0, Oxford 2. So, Kevin, a little shout from Hernandez there in terms of a penalty. What do you think?
Well, I mean, in my old striking instincts, I'd like to say yes, give the penalty. But, he makes a fantastic run, Chicharito. But Colaccini, he goes in and all he does is using his strength. He's not even leaning into him. He's actually just using his strength to stand in a position. Chicharito is actually stretching for it, goes over. It would have been very, very harsh had the referee given a penalty kick for that.
Agreed. I'm not an old striker, and I would say not a penalty. So Exeter 0, Oxford 3 now, and John Ward's Bristol Rovers have got a goal back at Aldershot. It's 1-1. Aldershot 1, Bristol Rovers 1. Manchester United 1, Newcastle 2 remains the score here. Manchester City losing at Sunderland. So what of third place Chelsea? Rob Northman.
Well, they still lead Norwich by 1-0 here at Carrow Road. Juan Mata's bit of Spanish artistry 7 minutes before half-time. But just one or two signs that Norwich are getting up ahead of steam and starting to get a little bit of a foothold into the match. Chelsea, without playing well, are just about on top. And it's Norwich 0, Chelsea 1.
It's now Inverness, Caledonian Thistle 1, St Mirren 2, Stephen Thompson, and Burton 2, Rochdale 2. Van Persie is flagged offside, so a free kick to Newcastle. So just update a couple of the other Premier League games. Craven Cottage first of all, and John Southall.
Well, it's absolutely chucking it down. It's Fulham 1, Southampton 0. Really good chance though for Fulham in the opening 5 minutes of this second half. Luke Shaw gave the ball away to Ashkan Jagger, and he had a really good opportunity, but side-footed the shot horribly wide of the left-hand post. Fulham have also brought on Brian Ruiz on at half-time. He hasn't played since the 18th of November, and already he's giving that bit of extra quality. Fulham 1, Southampton 0.
High ball into the Manchester United box. Barr is battling for it with Ferdinand. It comes off Barr's head and out into the full-back position. Valencia now receives it and plays it back to Ferdinand inside his own box, and he will play it to his left to Johnny Evans. So Simon Mann can update us on Reading and Swansea.
We have played for 13.5 minutes in the second half. It's still Reading 0, Swansea 0. It's not been a great game. There haven't been that many chances. As you'd expect, Swansea passed the ball better, but Reading are stuck at it. They stayed in the game. McAnuff had a shot that was deflected behind for a corner. Nothing really from Swansea in the second half. It's Reading 0, Swansea 0.
And Mark Pugac is watching QPR and West Brom, who I think are just underway in the second half, Mark.
Just started the second half, uphill battle for QPR. West Brom 1 up, Brunt after 29 minutes. First minute of the second half.
Thanks, Mark. Manchester United, oh, that's a poor ball from Johnny Evans, who I must say is really struggling in this game. Had the ball in the centre circle and overhit it by some distance down the middle to Tim Krul, and just a few moments earlier, Kevin Gallagher, with a very simple, straightforward pass along the back line, was about 10 yards away from Rio Ferdinand with it.
Yeah, it doesn't help as well when you're a central defender and your striker like Chicharito is so used to, or prefers to run over the shoulder and not come to feet, and he's looking to pass it to feet, but he checks and runs, so it's an indecision in a pass.
Giggs now to Valencia. Valencia plays it off Santon behind. It's a Manchester United corner. Manchester United corner from the right. Rotherham 0, Port Vale 1. Hibs 0, Ross County 1. Richard Britton with that one. And Cheltenham 3-0 up on Wickham now. Corner then for United. Van Persie high and deep towards the back post. It's headed partly away. Johnny Evans was battling for it. Williamson got there first. Headed out to Scholes. And then Scholes back to Ferdinand nearer the halfway line. Tranmere have equalised against Crewe. It's 1-1 at Prenton Park. Van Persie plays it in left-footed to the edge of the Newcastle box. Headed away. Comes out to Evra. Oh, Evra shoots and scores. And it's 2-2. And Patrice Evra has scored again, as he did at Swansea on Sunday. His fourth goal of the season. And it's Manchester United 2, Newcastle 2.
Well, it's just pure pressure, isn't it? You know, the pressure Manchester United putting on, and you just see it's giving the crowd that little bit of a lift. And maybe it is Sir Alex has come out and got the crowd behind him. He's actually, you can tell he's got the players fired up, but Newcastle just can't clear the lines. They've got to clear them better. They clear them down the middle. But Patrice Evra only has one thing in mind, and that's to just try and shoot through a whole scrummage of bodies. But Tim Krul, to me, dives over the top of the ball.
And Manchester United winning a free kick on the halfway line. Well, Barr is complaining about this to the referee. It's a free kick. United were trying to play on, but I think the referee quite rightly brought it back. So Carrick plays it to Scholes along the halfway line, and it goes back towards Ferdinand. It's been another goal in the Motherwell Aberdeen game, Ian Turner.
The 13th of the season for Michael Higdon's made it Motherwell 4, Aberdeen 1. It came on the 55th minute, a good run down the left, cut back to Higdon, 2 yards out, roof of the net. Motherwell 4, Aberdeen 1.
And Burton are now 3-2 up on Rochdale. Burton 3, Rochdale 2. So Manchester United 2, Newcastle 2. Newcastle have been ahead twice. Manchester United have now come back to level twice, with goals from Evans and Evra, both of them scoring for the 4th time this season. So 8 goals from those two, who before this season barely had a goal between them. Here's Van Persie into the penalty area. It's cleared away by Santon. Manchester United playing from left to right in the second half, now putting pressure on the lime and black of Newcastle as it is today. Evans now slides in for a 50-50 ball with Simpson out on the right, and the ball's put out of play. The referee has given that as a foul. Simpson, I think, caught Evans as he slid in. It's a free kick at the very least to Manchester United, and the players now are really fired up in this game, and a number of them gathering around the referee over there, who's given the free kick Manchester United's way.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an open ball. You know, both players are sliding in, and Evans, to me, was clear favourite to win it. But Danny Simpson, for some reason, just dives in at the end. I don't think he has any need. Yes, he sprinted 25 yards to get to the ball, but there's no need to slide in on the occasion. Johnny Evans is there, and if he just leaves it, Johnny Evans kicks the ball out for a throw-in, Danny Simpson has the ball. So, I mean, Danny Evans is very, very lucky. It's just a yellow.
Yeah, Danny Simpson, yellow carded. Manchester United 2, Newcastle 2. Going to go to Bramall Lane, but Manchester United putting pressure on Newcastle here, trying to get ahead in this game for the first time, but it breaks down on the edge of the box. We will go to Bramall Lane in a moment, but first to Queen's Park Rangers, Mark Pugac.
Second goal for West Brom, controversy with you, and here an own goal from Rob Green. Corner headed up in the air, and Malumbu just lent back into the Queen's Park Rangers goalkeeper, who in trying to get above him could only pour the ball into the net. QPR fans absolutely furious. Harry Redknapp, all gesticulations down on the pitch, a bit like Sir Alex with you at half-time. The goal stands, a Green own goal, West Brom 2 up on QPR.
And here is Derm Tanner with that news from Sheffield.
And they lead by 2-0 as well, Sheffield United against Scunthorpe. It was a Tony McMahon free kick, beautifully headed in by Dave Kitson, and that home form is formidable as ever. Sheffield United 2-0 against Scunthorpe.
Manchester United 2, Newcastle 2. This is BBC 5 Live, the second of our 4 commentary matches today here on 5 Live. From 5:30 you will hear commentary here on 5 Live on Aston Villa against Tottenham with Alan Green and Dion Dublin, and then tonight from 7:45 the whole of Stoke against Liverpool. Newcastle with a free kick, driven in towards the edge of the box. Williamson heads it down, it bounces off bar but through to De Gea, who's able to pick it up very straightforwardly. Kevin Gallagher.
Well, it was very close, a good reaction, but you know, you've got to burn the ball as a striker, because if it is faulty, any reaction off your knee, off your thigh, even a little toe poke can catch the goalkeeper unaware, but just caught in their heels.
Manchester United play forward through Carrick, chested down by Danny Simpson. Hernandez is herring after him, he plays it away, and now Anita will break. Well, he was fouled there by Van Persie. Van Persie doesn't like it, but Mike Dean was right there and gave it, and I think the referee has got that right again.
Yeah, he's got it right. He's very close to the play. He's only 5 or 6 yards off. He can see it. Van Persie's coming back into position and just tries to come round the side. He just clips the heel as he's trying to slide. There's nothing malicious in it. He's just trying to nick the ball away, and with all the endeavour that he wants, he was never going to get his legs round.
It certainly didn't happen when Newcastle are going to take the free kick. They've stolen at least 5 yards, and it's chipped forward by Anita into the Manchester United box. Evans there to head it away down into the full-back position. Tranmere, having been a goal down at home to Crewe, are now 2-1 up at Prenton Park. If you didn't hear earlier, by the way, the early kickoffs in League 2 finished Gillingham 0, Barnet 1, the leaders losing at home to Barnet. Also Plymouth 1, Torquay 1, and Dagenham and Redbridge 0, Southend 3. The final scores in the early kickoffs. Newcastle with the throw into the Manchester United box. Only half cleared away to Perch, and then Scholes is in there to play it away to Anita. By the way, just want to make the point, with Giggs and Scholes starting for Manchester United today, quite a rare thing now for Scholes and Giggs both to be in the Manchester United starting lineup, as Evra tries to take it down the left, and Cisse came in with a challenge and sent him flying, and that is going to be a yellow card for Cisse. So Patrice Evra, the latest name to be entered into the referee's notebook. The last time that Giggs and Scholes both started for Manchester United was the home game here against Tottenham in September, which is the only game Manchester United have lost here in the Premier League this season. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if there were some Manchester United supporters inside here who are saying, you know, is the time for Scholes and Giggs both being in the team at their veteran stage. Has that now passed? But Newcastle making a change. Obertan going to come onto the field for Bigarimana. It's Rotherham 0, Port Vale 2, and we'll just go around our games, our featured matches in the Championship. First, the 5 Live Sports Extra commentary match in Cardiff. John Akers.
Yeah, we've had 18 minutes of the second half here, John. It's still Cardiff 1, Palace 1. Both sides have had decent chances in the second half. Cardiff have edged it. Gabidon's headed wide. Bellamy shot really well saved by Speroni. Garvin shot wide for Palace. It's Cardiff 1, Palace 1.
Manchester United coming forward on the left-hand side. The cross into the penalty area. Colaccini half heads it away. Smalling turns, shoots, but over the angle and post and bar via a deflection for a corner.
Oh, still putting the pressure on Manchester United. There's no doubt about it. But where they're dangerous is getting down the sides of Newcastle, because Newcastle are blocking everything direct through the middle at them, but down the sides are causing problems. And yet again down the left-hand side they get a crossing, and it was only just Chris Smalling trying to get the ball out of his feet.
Here's the corner. Van Persie plays it into the edge of the 6-yard box. Smalling was after it, who's headed away. Comes back to Manchester United, back to Van Persie, driving into the box from the right-hand side, but running into Santon, who swept it away from the Dutchman. And back to Manchester United on the halfway line. Going to go to Hull City, Leicester City in a moment, but Carrick, high ball to the edge of the box. Simpson heads it away, comes out to Marveau, who's up against Scholes. Marveau shields it, plays it back to Perch, who passes it to Anita, who is dispossessed by a little touch from Valencia. And now a ball over the top from Ferdinand, finds Hernandez in an offside position. We will go to the KC Stadium presently, but first to Middlesbrough, where there has been a goal, Alistair Yeomans.
And it's gone to Middlesbrough, 67 minutes gone. When they played in September, Lukas Djukovic got both goals for Middlesbrough. He's scored again. Lovely little pass from Scott McDonald. Fine finish from Djukovic. It's Middlesbrough 1, Blackburn Rovers 0.
And have you got a goal yet, Steve May?
No, afraid not, John. Still Hull 0, Leicester 0. The game has rather faded in the second half after a pretty good first half. Though Leicester's Whitbread did make a good block on a Hull goal-bound effort off his own line. Martin Waghorn has just gone on for Leicester to try and get them going. It's Hull 0, Leicester 0.
And these are the other latest scores in the N-Power Championship. Barnsley 1, Birmingham 1. Bolton 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Ball played back that De Gea will have to deal with, which he does. Gets there just ahead of Barr. It is Burnley 1, Derby 0, Huddersfield 0, Blackpool 0, and still Wolves 0, Peterborough 2, as it was at half-time. If you're wondering about Bristol City and Watford, that was called off just before kick-off because of a waterlogged pitch. Manchester United 2, Newcastle 2 remains the score. So as things stand, Manchester United will be stretching their lead at the top of the table, with Manchester City behind at Sunderland. We'll go there shortly, but Newcastle trying to put pressure on Manchester United. It's played back by Valencia to Ferdinand, who clears it, but asking a great deal of Smalling, who wasn't able to do anything with it near the halfway line and chested it out for a throw. Kevin Gallagher?
Yeah, I'm just looking down and around, and I just wondering now, Sir Alex, there's atmosphere going on down about it, and I think it's cleverly possibly coming on in the midfield. But again, could it be for the old timers or for someone different?
Obertan now down the left against his old club. Plays it in. Wow, Cisse has scored! Oh, what a brilliant shot into the back of the Manchester United net. And Newcastle now lead for a third time here on this Boxing Day against Manchester United. And once again, Manchester United have been stunned by Newcastle, and that was a stunning finish from Cisse. It's Manchester United 2, Newcastle 3.
I tell you what, John, that's a fantastic ball. No, I mean, the ball it all starts from a throw-in. There could have been a free kick. The referee quite easily done it, but Obertan gets to the byline, and he just gets his head up, and he doesn't fizz it across the 6-yard box. What he does is actually pulls it back towards the sort of between the penalty spot and the 18-yard box. It's in there. Johnny Evans is covering the near post, gets caught out, and Cisse coming in off the channel in between Evra and Evans comes in, the ball straight to him, and all he's got to do is concentrate at the target. And I'll tell you what, he hit it so sweetly. De Gea, I don't think even moved.
That goal being scored in the 69th minute, so just over 20 minutes to play. It's Manchester United 2, Newcastle 3, and Scholes has been withdrawn. Thought that was almost inevitable. Cleverly has come on for him, and here is Cleverly now driving forward into the full-back position. Colaccini came out, put in the tackle. Cleverly recovered well. Colaccini still after him, snapping away. Played back towards Carrick. Marvel behind Carrick, so it goes square to Evra. The crowd want him to shoot again, having already scored in this game, and the last one. He has Giggs now still on the field on the left-hand side. Cisse is with him. Giggs manages to keep possession for United. Cleverly's ball over the top. Oh, it's overhit and through for a goal kick. Let me tell you about one or two other goals. Inverness have equalised against St Mirren. Richie Foran with that one. Oxford have got a goal back. Exeter have got a goal back against Oxford. It's Exeter 1, Oxford 3. And Huddersfield have opened the scoring against Blackpool. Anthony Gerrard. It's Huddersfield 1, Blackpool 0. So Manchester United behind again here against Newcastle. And as for Manchester City at Sunderland, Peter Slater.
They're still behind to that Adam Johnson goal after 53 minutes, but they're pouring everybody forward. The City brains trusted Mancini, Kidd and Plata talking to each other, deciding, do we bring Dzeko on? And I think they're just about to do that. Vincent Kompany's had a final warning, and Simon Mignolet's just made another good save to foil Sergio Aguero. Still 1-0 Sunderland.
Van Persie inside the penalty area, shoots and scores! Had an initial effort that was saved by Crow, but it pinballed around inside the Newcastle box and fell to Van Persie, and with a second chance he wasn't going to miss that time, and it is 3-3.
It's unbelievable. I said to you earlier, I can get on the edge of my seat, you can't, but this is just absolutely a treat for the fans. You know, Van Persie, if the ball falls on his left foot in the box, normally he says a goal. But Tim Krul, a great reaction save. But unfortunately, it's come back out to him again, and there's no second chances. When he gets it back the second time, he doesn't go for power, he goes for placement, and he goes and does Tim Krul with the eyes. He rolls it across Tim Krul, because Tim Krul's expecting to go straight. He goes across him, and again, Manchester United back in it.
So Manchester United have now come from behind 3 times. And it's 3-3. And you would have to say that there's every possibility of more goals in this game as Valencia comes forward, but Santon is able to put in the challenge. Santon still in possession, but plays it off Valencia and behind and out for a throw. Fleetwood have taken the lead against Morecambe in the local derby on the northwest coast. Manchester United 3, Newcastle 3 here at Old Trafford on BBC 5 Live. This has warmed the Boxing Day crowd here, and no mistake, as Obertan sees space on the right and he finds Danny Simpson there, and Simpson's able to take it on towards the edge of the area. Evra stumbles, still Simpson cuts inside him on his left foot, shoots, it's deflected up into the air, and De Gea comes and punches wildly and behind for a corner. He misjudged that there, De Gea, no mistake.
Well, there's the insecurity of the supporters, you know, anything in the air. You know, he's not the strongest in there, but he's electing to punch. You know, he comes 5 yards out, and it looked to me he was approaching Cisse, and he looked like to me he was scared of the contact, and he took his eye off the ball and completely missed the ball away.
So, corner to Newcastle in front of the old Stretford end, staring down now on Manchester United, defending this corner, which is played in now into the 6-yard box, and De Gea gets a better punch to the edge of the area. Valencia heads it to Giggs, and Giggs speeds away. Marvo is there with him though. Marvo stands in front of Giggs, who passes it past him, and now it's being carried forward by Johnny Evans towards the edge of the area to Van Persie, slips it through to Hernandez, clear chance, round the goalkeeper, the angle's tight, pulls it back, Hernandez, straight to Colaccini, who clears, out for a throw. Seemed certain it would be a fourth Manchester United goal, but no.
Well, I must admit, John, I thought at one stage they were overplaying the ball. You know, they were just trying to walk it into the net. And eventually, when it comes to Chicharito Hernandez, you know, he does fantastically well to step around Krul. But instead of having a go at the goal, he looks up and tries to pull it back. And that, to me, was the chance wasted, because Newcastle were allowed to get back and defend it and clear their lines. But, I mean, that could be a wasted opportunity for Manchester United.
If you just joined us on 5 Live, got an absolute stormer here. 3-3 at Old Trafford. Ball across from the left-hand side from Giggs, comes out, Valencia shoots, it's blocked by Santon, and it spins up and down and bounces through to Krul, who's able to hold the ball. Crawley are now in front of Portsmouth. It's Portsmouth 1, Crawley 2, and Cheltenham 4-0 up on Wickham. And Simon Mann at Reading, what news?
It's still 0-0, John, but a couple of minutes ago, 20,000 Reading fans thought their team had scored. It's a free kick from the right-hand side. It was turned in by Lafondra. He peeled away to celebrate, but referee Mike Jones spotted that he'd handled the ball and gave him a yellow card. The cheek of it from Lafondra, his celebration suggested he put it in cleanly, but it was definitely with the arm. Reading 0, Swansea 0 still.
Yes, they do that, strikers. Kevin Gallagher's told me all about that. It's Manchester United 3, Newcastle 3 here. The other scores, Sunderland winning 1-0 against Manchester City. It's Norwich 0, Chelsea 1. Everton winning 1-0 against Wigan. QPR 0, West Brom 2. And Fulham 1-0 up on Southampton. Those are the latest scores in the Premier League. Here, Marvo with a shot from 22 yards, but straight into here, who holds this one securely next to his right knee.
Well, I'll tell you what, John, I don't think both teams are shoring up defensively. They're certainly having an attack, they're certainly having a go at each other, and on the counter-attack it's very, very quick. It's the pace of the game that both sides are playing at it. You just wonder now, when you're approaching the last 15 minutes of it, how the older players, especially for Manchester United, the fitness levels are keeping up with the younger players.
Bournemouth are now 2-0 up on Yeovil, and in the third division in Scotland, Rangers 3, Clyde 0. Newcastle coming forward again with Cisse, who just overruns it into Evans. So we'll go to Cardiff and John Akers.
Cardiff have taken the lead, John. Cardiff 2, Palace 1. It was a superb finish in the end from the substitute Gunnarsson, who flashed in a header, hit the crossbar, might have gone in off the goalkeeper, but at the moment, as things stand, Cardiff could be heading 5 points clear at the top. Cardiff 2, Palace 1.
Commentary on that continues over on 5 Live Sports Extra. In the Premier League in Scotland, I'll just run you through the latest scores, but Newcastle on the attack with Simpson. Anita now, the ball runs into the United penalty area and Evra coolly passes it away. So earlier it finished Dundee United 1, St Johnstone 1. Motherwell currently 4-1 up on Aberdeen. Hibs 0, Ross County 0. And Manchester United now attacking with Evra down the left-hand side. Evra in clear ground. Colaccini comes across. Ball played into the near post where it's caught by Krul. The other latest scores in Scotland in a moment. But Jonathan Ledyard at Goodison Park, a goal.
For Everton, they lead 2-0. Phil Jagielka's first goal of the season. Towering header from across by Phil Neville on his 500th Premier League appearance. Everton on their way. 2-0 when they lead.
It remains Inverness 2, St Mirren 2 and Kilmarnock 1, Hearts 0. Celtic play at Dundee this evening. We'll have news of that during the course of the next couple of commentaries, which will begin with Aston Villa, Tottenham at 5:30. Also Chesterfield now 2-0 up on York, and Aldershot back in front against Bristol Rovers. It's 2-1. Chesterfield 3-0 up on York now. Manchester United 3, Newcastle 3, with, I make it 13 minutes plus added time remaining in this game. The rain has finally stopped, poured down for most of the first half, and Newcastle in rather muddied lime green shirts, playing from right to left and going back into their own half. To Williamson, who his pass forward is charged down, but he gets a second opportunity, plays it forward. Evans comes across, gives it to Evra. Now cleverly back once again to Evra, who controls it and plays it to Evra, who I think might have been fouled there. Play continues, good advantage. Cleverly now, it runs. He was fouled, but it runs to Hernandez. Van Persie making a run. He's played it into the body of Colaccini from close range. Well, it seemed to strike him on the arm, but Mike Dean was no more than probably 4 yards away and says, no, not a penalty for handball for that.
Well, I'm waiting to see this replay, but really Manchester United on the counter-attack are fast. No, yes, it's struck his hand. Yes, it's ball to hand. The other thing as well, John, it's outside the box.
Yeah, just outside. But Manchester United, Sir Alex will be absolutely incensed. Good luck whoever is speaking to him after the game today. I think it might not be a great time to bring up Ashley Williams and Robin Van Persie again. Here's Obertan, plays it into the penalty area, but through and behind for a goal kick. Right, 3-3 here, thrilling stuff. And here's Peter Slater on Wearside again.
Well, maybe not quite as thrilling, but the Sunderland supporters trying to ease their team home. They have just over 10 minutes to play. They still lead Manchester City 1-0. That Adam Johnson goal after 53 minutes. And here's Fraser Campbell putting Stefan Sessignon through, and Joe Hart comes out and foils him. Dzeko on for City. Campbell on for Sunderland. 10 minutes left for play. Sunderland 1, City 0.
Ball through for Van Persie, who stretches and sends his shot wide of the post. Oh, it would have been a wonderful goal from Van Persie. A long pass. Van Persie stretching up against Williamson. Got his left foot to it, but steered it across goal and wide.
Oh, it's what a ball, you know. Michael Carrick, we know how his quality of looking. It's like a quarterback's pass. He gets on it, he just dinks it. Not quite the instep, not quite the toe, but he just bends it up over the top. A great run, but Van Persie's vision just didn't hit it first time. Tim Krul had absolutely no chance. He had no chance to set his feet. But a great chance for Van Persie just as Newcastle make this substitution, John.
Yeah, second Newcastle change. Sammy Amiobi is on for Cisse, who scored that excellent third Newcastle goal. 3-3 the score. Should also make the point after the appeal for handball was turned down by Mike Dean. Sir Alex Ferguson was again out on the edge of the coaching area, and he stayed there, and again he was talking to the assistant. Now Valencia coming forward down the right place across. Hernandez heads it wide off the outside of the post from 6 yards. A diving header seemed certain to put Manchester United ahead, but no, it's behind and wide.
Well, I tell you what, they're getting most of the joy when they can get down the wider areas against Newcastle, and that's what they're doing really well. They're catching them now on the break as the game goes on. Legs are tiring. Newcastle are leaving gaps, but Valencia's cross in the box was absolutely fantastic. But again, Hernandez has got to hit the target.
Straight to QPR. Mark Pugac, a goal.
Little bit of life for QPR. Umbir, slide rule pass through to Cisse, who scored, ran after the ball, picked it up, sprinted back to the centre circle and plonked it on the spot very deliberately. 21 minutes to go. QPR 1, West Brom 2.
And another goal at Everton. Jonathan Ledgard.
What are the Everton defence doing? They've just conceded to Kone. A simple goal. They seem to stand there and watch as the ball was just moved around from various players. No one really getting a boot on it or a head on it. And Tim Howard was left helpless, and Kone just poked it in. 2-1, 9 minutes to go. Jelavic just wide.
Thanks, Jonathan. Burnley now 2-0 up on Derby. Michael Duff with the second goal for Burnley, and a second goal for Birmingham at Barnsley. Birmingham are winning 2-1. Curtis Davis with that one, and Coventry have equalised against Stevenage. It's 1-1 there. So it's Manchester United 3, Newcastle 3. Manchester City are still 1-0 down at Sunderland, and Chelsea still leading by a narrow margin at Norwich. Rob Nothman.
They are 1-0 up courtesy of Juan Mata's goal. Still not quite in top gear, Chelsea. They've brought on Frank Lampard as a second half substitute, coming on in midfield for John Obi Mikel. Norwich continuing to hassle and harry. They might still get one more chance in this game, one thinks. It's Norwich 0, Chelsea 1.
3-3 here. How long have we got left? Not enough. I could do with another half hour of this.
Oh,
great stuff, Kevin, isn't it?
It's absolutely fantastic. Not only are we getting on the pitch, John, now we're getting the antics on the sideline. Sir Alex down. You know, he's ranting and raving. He's down there trying to get his influence.
Now there's the tapping on the wristwatch as well from Sir Alex, who's suggesting that Newcastle are wasting time. Mike Dean's turned the other way. Now arms in the air from Sir Alex. And now actually, you know, we've got Sir Alex and Mike Phelan both in the coaching area. In fact, Sir Alex is actually standing just to the right of it. So they're both out there. Free kick, Newcastle played forward. Here's Sammy Amiobi, newly arrived, chesting it down. Half cleared away by Manchester United, comes out to Obertan on his right foot, shoots low, straight at De Gea. Tame shot, easily saved, and it's bowled out, overarmed by the Manchester United goalkeeper to Valencia, who takes on his man Sammy Omi round the outside and plays it out of play. Free kick Manchester United. Well, he's suggesting that Sammy Amiobi just caught Valencia there. No, I'm not sure about that.
It's one of those ones, as a wider player, what you try and do is you drop the shoulder, knock it past them.
Straight to Craven Cottage, there's a penalty, John Southall.
And it's gone to Southampton. Key moment in this, Fulham 1, Southampton 0, and Ricky Lambert will be the man who will step forward to take this in front of the Southampton fans to his right hand side. Southampton possibly deserve a point from this game in the driving rain. Here comes Ricky Lambert, strikes it hard, Schwartz to get a hand to it, but Lambert scores, and those fans behind him are going berserk. Fulham 1, Southampton 1.
Bradford 1, Accrington 1, and Shrewsbury 2, Notts County 2. Sir Alex Ferguson's halfway down. Well, that's an exaggeration. He is 5 yards outside his coaching area. Free kick to Manchester United on the left, into the middle, headed away by Obertan. He's way outside his coaching area. So where's the fourth official? Tom Cleverley plays it in right-footed into the Newcastle box. It's headed away by Sammy Amiobi, and Newcastle, they don't clear it. Marvo was caught in possession by Cleverley. Hernandez, this is the day, isn't it, for the fourth official, Neil Swarbrick. Hernandez is fouled by Perch, and again gesticulations from Sir Alex. So where is the fourth official to say Sir Alex?
I think they tied him up on a chair. I must admit, John, he did come out, and Mickey Phelan went back and sat down, but no sooner had the fourth official gone back.
Van Persie with the free kick into the penalty area. It's over, everyone. Hernandez was closest to it. Johnny Evans slipped over, but the ball is through for a goal kick. Rotherham have scored against Port Vale, but Port Vale 2-1 up at Rotherham. So 3-3 here with just over 5 minutes to play. We can take a breath, and actually while we do that, we'll get the team news from our next commentary game, which is at Villa Park. Alan Green.
Villa make 3 changes from the side obliterated at Stamford Bridge. Bannon, Lehigh and Byman drop out. Delph Bennett and El Hamadi come in. 2 alterations for Tottenham. Dawson and Corker out. Gallas and Norton in.
Sorry, Alan. Sammy Amiobi with a shot from the right side of the box, which beat De Gea's dive, hit the inside of the post and rebounded into the goalkeeper's arms. Now Newcastle have hit the post. Still 3-3. Now it's forward to Van Persie. Shouts for handball against the Dutchman. Not given. Van Persie plays it across and Williamson clears. I hope you picked up all of that team news from Alan. There will be commentary on Aston Villa against Spurs here on 5 Live from 5:30. Now Valencia on the right, crosses, comes back to him. Valencia drives it across, half deflected away, and then cleared further away by Marvo near the penalty spot. Manchester United win it back through Carrick. Carrick with a chance to cross, but he hits it straight into the back of Amiobi. And now Newcastle could be off on a counter-attack. Manchester United players trying to get back. Shola Amiobi has appeared on the field. Who did he come on for? Obertan. Now back to Marvo, and Marvo just drops to walking pace and gives it to Sammy Amiobi. So Demba Ba went off when Shola Amiobi came on. Now Sammy Amiobi up towards the edge of the penalty area. Onto his right foot, plays it across, cleared away by Johnny Evans. Kevin Gallagher.
He slipped under the radar, I must admit, John. He came on earlier. I think it was just in Manchester United, just before he got the third goal, he actually sneaked on. And then that was the euphoria of Manchester United getting back into the game. It was all lost under the radar, the substitution, etc.
Right, so that's the final Newcastle change then. The score is Manchester United 3, Newcastle 3. Newcastle have been in front 3 times. 3 times Manchester United have equalised. And now the ball played forward for Giggs inside the penalty area. Newcastle getting back. Williamson comes across. Giggs get the crossover. Hernandez with a header. It's straight at Krul, who saves. Straight at him. And the Newcastle goalkeeper clasps it to his chest.
I really don't know how much Tim Krul knew about this ball, but Ryan Giggs, I thought he was going to take it on the volley as it came across, but he controlled it well. Looked like he'd lost out of position, but what he does well, and he's done for his career, is he's dug a cross out of nothing. He had no right to dig the cross out, and he put it onto the centre forward's head.
Brilliant from Giggs, superb. 3-3 the score. Still Manchester City are losing at Sunderland. Adam Johnson, the scorer for Sunderland against his former club. Chelsea winning 1-0 against Norwich. So at the moment, it's worth saying again that Manchester United will actually be stretching their lead by a point at the top of the Barclays Premier League table. More goals to tell you about. It's Colchester 1, Brentford 3 now. And Bournemouth 3-0 up on Yeovil. And also Bristol Rovers have equalised again at Aldershot, 2-2 in that match. Rovers twice behind. Marvo now, left side of the penalty area. Smalling dives in, still Marvo, chips it across. Shola Amiobi with a header, and a stretch up high to catch it from De Gea. No power behind the header from Shola Amiobi.
Well, Manchester United's midfield have got to be very, very careful, because if they lose possession, they're just watching the ball and getting caught with runners, and this time it's Marvo gets into a good area, digs the ball out, but Shola Amiobi just couldn't get the power of his header. But Manchester United have to be careful because they do switch off.
End-to-end stuff. Manchester United coming forward. Colaccini heads away. Troll came a long way. He's left on the ground. Valencia across to Smalling. Now into the box to Hernandez. Touch from him to Giggs. Giggs with a cross across the box, and it's headed wide by Van Persie, who got up above Vanita but couldn't direct it on target.
Well, I'll tell you what, if ever I've seen an open game, John, this is the one. Defences, forget about it. It's just all about attacking. At both ends, and they're getting into the 18-yard box and creating little half chances. I mean, this time Van Persie, who I expected to hit the target in those situations, it pulls off fantastically well on the defender.
Manchester United are furious here, Sir Alex and Mike Phelan are absolutely furious at what they see as Newcastle's time wasting. Tim Krul has taken an age to take this goal kick, and still no sign of the fourth official, even though we've got Sir Alex outside the coaching area and Mike Phelan just inside it. Forward from Manchester United from Hernandez, who's never going to reach that ball through, tangled with Williamson and went crashing to earth. Krul has picked up the ball. It's Bradford 2, Accrington 1 now. Let's just nip to Sunderland for an update from Peter Slater.
Where fourth official Kevin Wright's just put the board up. 4 minutes of stoppage time remaining. Sunderland hanging on, City throwing everything at them, but Adam Johnson's goal means it's still Sunderland 1, Manchester City 0.
I think Sheffield United have got the points at Bramall Lane. They're now 3-0 up on struggling Scunthorpe. Sheffield United 3, Scunthorpe 0. And Manchester United 3, Newcastle 3 here, with 2 Premier League commentaries still to come today on 5 Live. Here's Evra now down the left-hand side. Crosses it via a deflection. Anita is there to clear it. I hope they're both as exciting as this one. Throw-in taken by Evra. Now Giggs plays it back to Cleverley, the substitute. No Wayne Rooney for Manchester United today. No Ashley Young either. Both injured in training was the word. Carrick lifts it into the penalty area. Chance here. And Hernandez scores for Manchester United. They've come from behind 3 times. And now, in added time, they are in front. The mark of champions. You have seen it here from Manchester United. Newcastle are floored by that, but Hernandez scores, and it's Manchester United 4, Newcastle 3.
Well, one thing for sure was that Manchester United are going to get beat. They're going to get beat by creating lots of chances. That's what they've been doing. You know, Hernandez is celebrating out there because he knows, again, Manchester United in overtime have gotten their noses in front. But again, Newcastle not defending correctly. You know, they're defending. There's 7 men across the line, not there. Midfielders get pulled back, played onside, but you've got to look at Carrick. He played a great ball earlier to Van Persie, and yet again he's got his head up, he's looked for the position, he's playing it into an area for the strikers to run onto, and Hernandez, who's brilliant at it, plays off the shoulder, makes a great run, and all he does is side foots it past Tim Krul and gets that 4th goal.
Yeah, did well Hernandez. He's missed a number of opportunities today, but he was there with his right foot to steer it past Tim Krul and into the Newcastle net. And it is 4-3 to Manchester United. I think it has finished at Carrow Road. Norwich 0, Chelsea 1. So just 1-0 for Chelsea today. And it is also over at the KC Stadium. Hull City 0, Leicester 0 in the Championship. And Inverness Caledonian Thistle 2, St Mirren 2 is the final score. And now after scoring the goal, Hernandez, he's going to be substituted. And as far as Sir Alex is concerned, this substitution can take as long as the officials like. Before they make that change, here is Rob Nothman at Carrow Road.
Yes, Norwich 0, Chelsea 1. Juan Mata's goal decisive. Chelsea holding on a bit towards the end as Norwich staged a grandstand finish, but it's finished Norwich 0, Chelsea 1.
Thanks, Rob. 4-3 to Manchester United. Rangers have beaten Clyde 3-0 in the 3rd division in Scotland. And Newcastle now with the ball towards halfway. Can Newcastle come from behind? And the other question is, did anyone see the 4th official with the electronic board? 4 minutes of added time. At the time, that wouldn't have been enough for Sir Alex. Colaccini plays it across, cleared away by Cleverley on the edge of the area. It's finished Reading 0, Swansea 0 at the Medeski Stadium. All the details to come on these. We've got a mini sports report on 5 Live until kick-off at Villa Park. Commentary to come on Aston Villa Tottenham. And Newcastle with the ball in the centre circle. Newcastle played forward, but it's over the top of Sammy Amiobi, who was fouling his man, and it's a free kick to Newcastle. And it has finished Motherwell 4, Aberdeen 1. Tranmere have beaten Crewe 2-1. Earlier, Gillingham lost 1-0 at home to Barnet. So we're in the 4th minute of added time. And Sir Alex now is all smiles down there. There's a clenched fist from him up to the director's box here. And applauding as well. It's finished at Sunderland. Peter Slater.
Sunderland have beaten Manchester City 1-0. City so much possession, so few chances. Sunderland counter-attacking and winning the game through Adam Johnson's goal 8 minutes into the second half. What's this going to do to the race for the Premier League title? Sunderland 1, Manchester City 0.
What is it indeed? It looks like a big day, a swing day to Manchester United, who are winning here. Manchester City have already lost at Sunderland. Remember, Manchester United at Sunderland on the last day of last season, winning by a goal to nil, but losing the title there on that day. And I see Coventry are now 3-1 up at Stevenage, but a Newcastle player is down, and we'll have a little stoppage here before Newcastle take a free kick halfway inside their own half. It's finished Fulham 1, Southampton 1 at Craven Cottage, Hibs 0, Ross County 1. Ross County have won at Hibs. Kilmarnock 1, Hearts 0, Middlesbrough 1, Blackburn 0 are all final scores. Everton have beaten Wigan by 2-1 at Goodison Park. As I say, all of the details to come. But a stoppage here because the Newcastle player, is it Anita?
Yeah, I think it is.
He is down hurt. Kevin will probably be straight off to Mark Pugach after we're done here. What a game we've seen here today. 4-3 Manchester United.
Oh, it's been unbelievable, but it just shows the strength and character of this Manchester United. And you know, at times when they go behind, to show that character and get them back in at half-time, especially when they're 2-1 down, they're not playing to the best of their capabilities. Sir Alex has got them out early. He's come out early, so a word to the referee, and all of a sudden it gets the team get back into the game. And you know, when you come here and you score 3 goals, you expect to, I think, beat Manchester United, but that's how tough it is, because they're a team that never say die, and again they've done it today.
Well, we've had some excitement here, and now this is not good to see, because Vernon Anita in some pain. I think it's his right leg is having to be lifted onto a stretcher. So we will continue to play on with Newcastle playing with 10 men for the final seconds. Full-time scores: Bournemouth have beaten Yeovil 3-0, Aldershot 2, Bristol Rovers 2, Colchester 1, Brentford 3, Cheltenham 4, Wickham 0, Rotherham 1, Port Vale 2, Preston 0, Bury 0, Exeter 1, Oxford 3, Fleetwood 1, Morecambe 0, Cardiff have beaten Crystal Palace 2-1, Shrewsbury 2, Notts County 2, and Stevenage 1, Coventry 3. Did you see what happened to Anita, Kevin?
Yeah, well, Valencia's coming into the tackle, the ball drops between them. Anita gets the ball, he takes it out of his feet, he gets away from Darren Fletcher, but coming round on the outside is Valencia, and what he's done is Valencia comes in around the ball, but what he does is he catches the ankle of Anita, then his leg comes round, he takes the ball and gets away from it. That's where the referee and the referee's assistant don't see the actual connection of the tackle first, and that's why Anita's getting carried off.
It's finished Barnsley 1, Birmingham 2. It is Milton Keynes Dons 2, Walsall 4. They're still playing there, and they're also still playing at Oldham, where Doncaster are now 2-1 up. And it's finished Portsmouth 1, Crawley 2. That was nasty actually by Valencia, just catching the right ankle of Anita. I think that's the problem, and he's having to be stretchered off. And Newcastle, for Alan Pardew, you really have to feel for Alan Pardew here. Yet another injury, and it does not look like a good one for Vernon Anita, I must say.
No.
It looks as though he might be sidelined for a little while with this.
Well, it's a double whammy as well, John, because not only is it the force and the impact with the bruising, but of course when you go over your ankle on the opposite side as well.
Newcastle take the free kick long into the Manchester United box. Williamson stretching for it. Now Obertan plays it down the left-hand side. Santon is onto this. Santon up against Van Persie, crosses it, takes a deflection. It's going to come out to Simpson. He hits the shot that shanks it badly in behind. And in the 8th minute of added time, you'd think that this goal kick would probably be the final action of the match. It's finished Huddersfield 1, Blackpool 1, and Wolves 0, Peterborough 3 is the final score at Molineux. So Newcastle led 3 times through Perch, the Evans own goal, and Cisse. Manchester United came back 3 times through Evans, Evra and Van Persie, and then Hernandez with that goal in the 1st minute of added time. And still we play on. Van Persie fouled by Colaccini, so free kick to Manchester United. And Van Persie, who seems to have hurt his back and is just moving rather gingerly there. Darren Fletcher comes across, and still on the ground, Van Persie. Manchester United will have a free kick. Other final scores: Bolton 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1, and Sheffield United 3, Scunthorpe 0. Van Persie now finally climbs to his feet. Manchester United, muddied white shorts, but seemingly 3 points. And there it is. Manchester United have won it, having been behind 3 times to Newcastle. What a game it's been. What Boxing Day entertainment for you on 5 Live from the Premier League. And the leaders, in the end, have won with a goal in the first minute of added time from Javier Hernandez. And with Manchester City losing at Sunderland, Manchester United stretch their lead at the top of the table. Final score here at Old Trafford is Manchester United 4, Newcastle 3.
What drama, what a game on Boxing Day, what a lead for Manchester United now, 7 points. We've got 2 minutes to go till stoppage time here. Oh, and a brilliant save off the line by Foster. QPR thought they'd equalise, but it's still 2-1 to West Brom. Brilliant save by the former England goalkeeper Ben Foster. Still 2-1 to West Brom, and a 2-1 home win for Everton. Jonathan Ledgard.
Yes, they beat Wigan. Difference was the rain. When it stopped in the second half, Everton started to play, rode their luck too. Osman's shot deflected. That seemed to break Wigan's resolve. Jagielka had it in a second. We had a nervy final few minutes as Everton allowed Kone to score from close range. 7 games unbeaten, Everton 2, Wigan 1.
All square at Craven Cottage, John Southall.
Yes, Fulham 1, Southampton 1. Ricky Lambert's late penalty grabbed a point for Southampton. He thumped it in after Chris Baird's handball. Southampton could have won it. Ramirez struck a sweet 20-yarder that Schwarzer gathered under his bar. Sidwell and Hangland also went close for Fulham. Booze at the end. Fulham 1, Southampton 1.
No goals for the Medeski, Simon Mann.
Yeah, Reading against Swansea. Disappointing game, limited number of chances. Reading nearly won it 5 minutes from the end. Lefondra's fierce volley headed off the line by Chico, though Dyer's header produced a fine save from Federici to his right midway through the half. Michu limped off 10 minutes from the end. He had the best chance in the first half. Reading 0, Swansea 0.
And the big game in the Championship, John Akers.
Cardiff 2, Palace 1, and Cardiff go 5 points clear at the top of the table, Mark. They had to come from behind after Jelinek scored from a corner, but the winner from substitute Aaron Gunnarsson sent this crowd absolutely wild. It's a very Merry Christmas in South Wales. Cardiff 2, Palace 1.
5 minutes of stoppage time here at Loftus Road. 5 minutes of stoppage time. Brunt scoring after 29 minutes, putting West Brom 1-0 up. A Green own goal, controversially, after Fortune lent into him as QPR tried to clear their lines, and Green could only palm it into his net. Cisse pulled the goal back. 5 minutes of stoppage time, 2-1 to West Brom. Tomorrow night on 5 Live Sport, you can hear an hour of Radio Gold. Andy Murray, History Boy, presented by the legendary American tennis coach Nick Bollettieri. Still to come on 5 Live Sport after Sports Report. 2 more Premier League commentaries. 7:45 Stoke Liverpool. Before that, 5:30 Aston Villa, which follows a shortened Sports Report, which is next.